Oh, good morning, everybody. Ben and Woods, 97.3, The Fan. Well, the votes are tallied. You've made your choice. It's Ben and Woods in the morning, right here on 97.3, The Fan. I got my shirt on right now. Ben and Woods, San Diego's choice, 24. That's it. It's the only vote that mattered. Your favorite morning show. And we're here for you today. Hope you're having a good start to your Wednesday morning. Got a cotton candy sky outside right now. It is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Right over Paulie Reindl, who's the executive producer, right over his shoulder. It's my favorite looking sky. The light blue and the pink cotton candy clouds. Just beautiful out there. Just a reminder, that everything's going to be okay. And we're all in this thing together, right? At the end of the day. So I am Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, as I just mentioned. Good morning, Paulie.
Hey, how are you?
Paulie had a basketball game last night. Almost won. Lost by
one.
2. Tough one. Playing against a ringer, though, which happens. It happens.
It's a guy we've played before. He plays on another team in another level.
They bring him down to
he goes,
play.
He says after the game, he told one of my other guys,
Sorry,
he goes,
homie.
hey, I'm only here this week. We're like,
yeah, I bet.
fantastic.
Very cool.
You're very good.
I'm
Isn't
glad.
that cheating?
No,
No.
there's grayish
You
areas.
submit a roster, but
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
It's not in the spirit of the
No,
competition.
it's definitely
though.
not in the spirit of competition, certainly. Ben Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well. I saw a post on Facebook when we were playing in our adult baseball league. And one of the managers from the other team posted, hey, we need a college-level arm or two because we want to beat the Ben and Woods baseball team. And I died laughing, dude. This other team, they've never beaten us. Every time we face them, we beat the crap out of them. And he literally was like, you must be college level or minor league experience. You will be playing against the Ben and Woods baseball team.
See, now that's a compliment.
Ben and Woods from the radio.
If I knew that this basketball team last night
Like, I want to beat Paulie.
searched somebody and said, we have to beat the tier ones. We need, you had to have played college basketball. I'd be like,
All right.
that feels pretty good.
It felt pretty good, and they still didn't beat us. So I don't know that they got the college arm that they needed, but it was a lot of fun. Benny, how are you, buddy?
I had a pretty useless night last night, as I expected. Did not ever make it onto the air with any sports
Nothing.
segment. So
You drove hour to work?
Yeah.
Sat on your ass from when to when?
I was there from about 3:15 until only about 9:30. And
That's
then
not
went
bad.
home. Yeah,
9:30's not bad.
I taped a morning sports segment. Not sure if that ran this morning or not, but did enjoy our election night spread. That is a tradition in newspaper newsrooms, TV newsrooms across America. They always put out a really good food spread on election night, and last night was no different. I mean, I feel a little guilty, like just sitting there eating all the food when I'm not really doing any of the work, but there was plenty. It's not like I didn't leave any for anybody else. There was probably 30 pizzas, big trays of pasta with shrimp, which surprised me. But it was actually good. It was like a Creole pasta.
Hold on.
Big Caesar salad,
Was this brought
rolls.
in from somewhere?
Catered from somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, not a potluck.
No,
Because
it's not a potluck.
You wouldn't have eaten it.
No, catered, real meal that they have for everybody.
Now,
And,
it's not like – so here's the thing. It's not like your colleagues were fighting a fire and you're standing off to the side just eating shrimp pasta where they finish fighting the fire and they're like, sure could use some pasta, but old Benny's over here sucking it down.
No, I mean, yeah.
Like you said, there's plenty to go around. It's like when we do the round table here at 97.3 The Fan, when we did the round table, they would bring in several pizzas and salads and wings and cookies. Well, we're all doing the round table, and all the salespeople are coming in eating the pizza. And it's kind of a bummer because when you get to the end, you're like, oh, cool. You did just leave one piece of veggie pizza that has cauliflower and broccoli on it and artichokes, which are repugnant. And that's what I get to choose from. Enjoy the rest of your day.
The way I justified it to myself is the rest of you weren't sitting in a parking lot at Dodger Stadium after Game 5 until, 11:45 at night with no food.
That's true.
Like I was sitting there for hours getting ready for my live shot. So this is my day to just kind of enjoy myself while you guys all work and cover what was going on last night.
No, it's absolutely true. I wanted to take this moment to wish a very, very happy birthday to my son Taylor, who has turned 4 years old today. What a There he is. What a sweet, sweet little baby. He FaceTimed me this morning. He was up at 5. Now, Hannah has laid out all the presents and stuff. Hannah really does a bang-up job with this. I walked out this morning, and I go, wait, there's balloons, there's streamers, his presents are laid out. And I said, well, what about me? And she said, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, he's going to come out and, like, you guys are going to have a birthday party at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to be at work, and there's nothing I can do. And she's like, yeah, sorry. And I said, well, so I pulled one.
Sucks.
Yeah, sucks. Sucks to suck, I guess. So I pulled one of the presents, the big one. And I pulled that out. I said, can we save this for later? Because he wants, you don't want to open all your presents. It's not Christmas morning. Like, you could have your birthday party later in the day.
Wrong. He does want to open all
Yeah,
he
I
does.
don't think he has any qualms about getting them all open as fast as possible.
So Hannah was in the bathroom getting ready, and then she heard him skedaddle out. I call him the leprechaun. So he sneaks out. He leprechauns his way into the kitchen, sees all this stuff. She walks out at 5:08. He's opening up his presents. There's nobody there. So which was great. But, man, crazy how fast 4 years have gone by. I remember it like it was yesterday. You guys were on the air. I was at the hospital with Hannah, scheduled C-section, and we had that little guy pop out. And, boy, he was really good for about the first year. And now, he's trying to find his way as the little brother. And I asked him the other day, because Hannah told me, she said, he doesn't like babies or like smaller children. I go, what are you talking about? She goes, the younger kids at school, he can't be bothered. He's like, I don't talk to you. I don't talk to babies. So I asked him the other day, I go, Taylor, I'm not saying this would happen, but what if mommy and daddy had another baby and you would be a big brother? He goes, no. I go, why not? He goes, no, I don't like babies.
What if Bo had the same feeling and didn't want to talk to you because he didn't want to talk to babies and thought you were a baby? Maybe if he empathized, like he could be in that same situation as younger children.
Does anyone on the planet, can anyone decipher what he just asked me?
I couldn't
follow
that.
that.
You couldn't follow that.
All right, Bo.
Bo thought
So,
Woods was
a baby?
No, so if Bo thought like Taylor did, and if Bo didn't want anything to do with
he didn't.
Taylor.
He didn't.
Oh, okay.
He did not at all. It's that moment when you're a parent and you have another child. And I do this for sure. I play it up in my head, this beautiful reunion when you come home from the hospital. And your oldest is like, he's been practicing with a little baby, how to be a big brother. We've been telling him what's expected of him. And then you bring the baby in and you want this magical moment where your oldest is like, oh, I'm so happy to see my little brother. Dude, he looked at Taylor like when I handed him Taylor, he looked like I handed him a turd, like a dog turd, and said, here, cuddle this. And he was so upset by it. And it took a while for the ice to melt. And but now, man, they're the best of friends and the best of enemies, and beat the crap out of each other on the daily. But man, 4 years, just like that, dude. You guys remember, man? Both my kids have grown up on this show, and they're watching right now. So I love you.
Your first day at the old station, the first time I met you, Bo was like maybe a month old.
Maybe. Yeah,
maybe a month old.
So he's grown up. Our audience has grown up
Hannah,
with these guys.
You and I and Ben, we got work done. We didn't even have a show yet.
Yeah.
And then Hannah pulled up at the end, brought baby Bo in her little bassinet or whatever. And yeah, he was maybe a month old.
Tiny.
And then 4 years ago.
Yep. And then Taylor born.
Crazy.
It's just nuts, man. It really does. Everyone always says don't blink. And it's crazy. And he's just such a little human now, and is funny and independent.
It's been so fun. Just look, honestly, like super, super serious. It has been a joy to watch both of them grow up.
Thank you.
It really has.
For us too, man. Ben doesn't feel the same about Taylor, at least, but it's fine. He's really a sweet boy, man. He's a sweet, sweet boy. Oh, so I went in yesterday to his class and did my presentation.
Oh, voluntold.
Yes,
That's right. You had to give a 30-minute presentation on being on the radio.
Walk in. Now,
give us some highlights.
I will. So they said, it's 10, be there at 11. And I said, okay. Well, I was in the parking lot at 10:30, sitting, waiting. So I figured, all right, we'll split the difference.
There's
here.
no green room for
There's no green Just sitting there going, oh, God, I got this. I can do this, man. So no green room.
Nobody's banging on your Mr. Woods, ready in 5?
So I was in the car, and I went, oh, no, I have to pee. Now, can't just walk into an elementary school as a grown man and say, where can I urinate? Okay? So I really had to think this thing through. So I was like, I'm gonna go into the offices first, handle my business, because they all have toilets and like bathrooms in the classrooms, and the classrooms are kind of connected. But the
they're
toilet,
for little
there's little
tiny
kids.
people. Yes.
I can't walk
No.
in there and be like, how we doing? You know, like there's laws against that for good reason, and I'm happy that it is that way. So I go to the offices, handle business, walk in. So I'm 15
Even
minutes
the stalls,
early.
I would imagine.
Oh,
like the
yeah,
toilets
they're
are all
tiny.
super
They're
low to the
low.
ground.
Yeah, because these kids are little. So I walk in and they go, oh, you're a little early. And I said, yeah, I'm always a little early. And they said, well, we're right in the middle of cleanup. So they were cleaning up. And then I went over and they put me on one of those chairs that's super teeny tiny. So I'm sitting there with my legs up. And I'm like, hi, I'm Taylor's dad, Steven, and I do a radio show called Ben and Woods. Does anybody listen to the radio? My dad listens to the radio. All right, great. I said, does anybody like baseball? I like baseball. All right. Can you name any Padres? Yeah, hand up. Name a Padre. I'm like, you ever heard of Manny Machado? Yeah, Manny Machado. Okay, great.
This is Manny Machado.
Hi, this is Jackson Merrill.
It's Fernando Tatis Jr.
So they're sitting there, and then you start to talk. So yeah, this is what we do. We interview the players, and my dad likes to go to the blah blah blah. They just start yelling stuff out. So I told them, listen, little bit. I said I don't know how long radio is going to be around. I don't know that you're going to have an opportunity to really embrace local radio. I said, but this is what we do. This is who I am. This is our show. It's called Ben and Woods. And I played him a little clip of Taylor punching the songs, and it did say nuts in the thing. It said nuts in the audio, and I saw the teachers give each other this knowing stare, like, oh boy,
Oh, here comes the shock jock.
here comes Howard Stern shock jock in here talking about nuts to little kids.
Well, they just know they repeat everything they hear. So
Correct.
they're going to hear it the rest of the day at least, if not all year long, if it really catches fire.
It was the whole presentation, all in, soup to nuts. It was about 4 minutes long. So I go, all right, well, see you guys later. Here's some stickers. The one kid goes, I don't want one. I was like, I don't care. I don't care if you want it or not. Take it. Then they start, can you help me open this? No, please don't open the sticker at school. Save it, put it on your water bottle, give it to your parents. Make sure to tell your parents to listen to Ben and Woods 97.3 The Fan. And if your parents are sore, they need to check out QC Kinetics, maybe SD Fat Loss, try to get some plugs in for us. But, I mean, I looked at those teachers and I went, how do you do it? How in the world do you come in here every day and deal with 14 or 15 of these little turds? I can't even imagine. I think about how hard it is to do with one or two. And all the credit goes to them. They're phenomenal people. But, yeah, knocked that out of the park. Taylor was very happy. And happy birthday to you, buddy.
I'm glad you made it through.
Yeah.
5 minutes sounds better than 30 minutes.
There's no way I had 30 minutes in me. No way. Let me tell you guys about how ratings work, okay? So here's the deal. Here's how you do. If your ratings are good, you're on top of the world. If they come down a little bit, it's time to change everything.
All right, so it used to be called the program director. Now
it's
the
a brand manager. Yeah.
So when we get an endorsement spot, they send us copy through a system called V-Creative.
But the copy's never
it's
good.
Never good.
It's
we
never
always have
good.
to make it our own. They're always telling us to make it spooky if it's Halloween time, or make it festive around Christmas. I mean, it just don't get me started, kids.
Yeah,
Taylor,
man.
put your own spin on it.
Yeah, Taylor, make it spooky. So it was great, man, and I'm looking forward to a birthday celebration today. We're going to do one tonight. We're going to do one Friday. You know how we do it. Should be really great. Happy birthday.
The Padres have elected to give Mike Shildt another term in office.
Indeed.
We will definitely be
How
talking about
fantastic is that?
the
great.
news that, not official, but probably later today will be announced by the San Diego Padres. A 2-year contract extension for the manager. We'll talk about that and much more. Set the menu for today's program, including the special guest coming up in our 7 o'clock hour to tip off college basketball season. It is all ahead. Thank you for joining us this morning again. We love our community. everybody in our community. You're always welcome. Glad to see you all this morning. With Paul, with Woods and Ben, here's Kelly's Traffic on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
We're running it back, huh?
What do you mean?
The skipper, Mike Shildt, obviously.
Skipper, of course,
2 more years.
Yeah, 2 more years. Running it back. The skipper, Mike Shildt.
Getting a full 4-year term now, including this past season, this year, and then the 2 years tacked on to his deal. Still unofficial, but widely reported first by the Union Tribune and now by The Athletic as well, that Mike Shildt and the Padres are finalizing a 2-year contract extension. And we will talk about what that means for the San Diego Padres. I mean, ultimately, it means that not much is going to change going forward, and I think that's a good thing, Woods. You want stability and continuity. The question is, will Mike Shildt be able to keep it up after the first season? We saw Bob Melvin had a terrific first year with the San Diego Padres, leading them to the National League Championship Series. Does not guarantee success in your second season.
No.
Chase Tingler took the Padres to the playoffs in his first season as manager. Did not guarantee success in his second season as manager.
They're absolutely... If you're looking for guarantees in the game of baseball, I can't offer you many. I mean, I just can't. I cannot guarantee you anything other than they will play 162 games next season. That's about as much as I can guarantee you. I do think that will be his challenge, but I think Bennett will also be the challenge of every single manager. It's Dave Roberts' challenge as well. Hey, how do I keep my guys motivated this year after winning that title and grinding so hard? And do they want another one? That's going to be Torey Lovullo's challenge. You lose players, you add players. You got to make sure those guys are a fit. So, listen, continuity here is ultimately a great thing. We've been a show almost 7 years, and we've cycled through 4 managers since we've been here. Fernando Tatis Jr.'s had 4 managers. Manny Machado's had 3 managers. Yeah, bro, this is good. This is ultimately a good thing. And, whatever it was last year that Shildt was selling, the players were buying it. And it drove us crazy. I can tell you that right now. There were times it drove me. I wanted to beat my head against the wall when we would talk to Shildt and say, what are you, are you gaslighting me right now? I know what I saw last night. That wasn't good. No, it was fine. But it wasn't. I know that was bad base running. No, it was good base running. Right? He always had his players' backs. And I think after a time, about 3 months into the season, I go, all right, well, I'm going to quit asking him because I know he's not going to, he's got his players' backs. And that's just how he is. So you adapt to it.
Well, I agree with you on continuity. It is undervalued, usually in sports,
Big time.
Fan bases tend to demand change when things don't go well, understandably so. But the organizations that tend to be the most stable, I always think of the Pittsburgh Steelers first, tend to have more long-term success than the ones that constantly cycle through general managers, coaches, and just making changes all the time.
Dallas Cowboys have had the same general manager for 30 years, and I don't see a lot of success
there. There is a point where you really should make a change. That is true.
It's wild, though. I mean, we're talking about Shildt, and again, he's going to get, 2 more years on top of this year, so 3 more years.
Well, I want to talk, though, and we can do this in our next segment as well, about anything you think Mike Shildt should change in his second season. I mean, I think any good manager evaluates what went correctly and what could have been improved on, and then makes adjustments when they come back for a second season. And want to discuss, where would you like Mike Shildt to perhaps pivot in year number 2? I mean, probably on the margins. It's not huge changes, but there's always small things that you can do differently. So we'll talk about the Mike Shildt contract extension coming up in our next segment and continue our discussion of the general managers' meetings, some additional news that came out yesterday that is of relevance to this program that we will talk about. Take on Woods at 7:10, an opportunity again to win tickets to comedian Tom Segura this Friday at Pechanga Arena as you battle Woods in our daily musical trivia competition. At 7:20, don't do this, and then 7:35, it's become an annual tradition. One of my favorites, actually, just kind of organically every single year when college basketball season gets underway and the Aztecs play their first game, we talk with the legend himself, and Steve Fisher will be back on the program this morning at 7:35 to talk about the program that he built and turned over to Brian Dutcher that has brought a lot of happiness into the lives of basketball fans in San Diego in the last couple of decades.
Always a pleasure to talk to the great Coach Fisher. Just a gem of a human being.
He's a wise man.
Yeah, he
He's
is.
a measured man.
Yeah.
And I think, on a day like this, we could use Steve Fisher wisdom and get us ready for college basketball season. So looking forward to that at 7:35. We'll have some more Padres talk in our 8 o'clock hour. Rindle Report at 9 o'clock, and then turn things over to Annie and Elston coming up at 10 o'clock this morning. So hopefully should be a good show, and definitely looking forward to Coach Fisher joining us coming up at 7:35.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, why don't we just let's take a timeout. When we'll come back, we will start the discussion of Mike Shilt's contract extension. Not a surprise, if you've been paying attention, something that was to be expected, and now it is truly Mike Shilt's team going forward. There's no, 2-year short contract. There's no lame duck season going into the last year of his deal. He can come back knowing, all right, I am molding this organization. What is he going to do with that? We will talk about it coming up with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Mike Shildt, 2-year contract extension. Job well done. When you go from 82 wins to 93 wins, despite a payroll that's less than, almost $100 million less than it was the year before. We talked yesterday about how A.J. Preller was robbed of the Executive of the Year award. I'm still convinced of that. He did a phenomenal job in remaking the roster. But, a lot of the credit also goes to Mike Shildt, who was handed that roster with less resources and made the most out of it this last season. And that's what you're ultimately hoping to get from a manager, Woods, isn't it? You just want them to get the most out of whatever they're handed. And if they do that, then they're doing their job effectively.
What would be a bigger snub in your mind? A.J. Preller not winning Executive of the Year, which we already know happened, or Mike Shildt not winning Manager of the Year?
I think A.J. is going to be the biggest snub of the offseason.
I think it's the bigger snub, but I thought you were...
Honestly, even if Jackson Merrill doesn't win the Rookie of the Year, I still think A.J. is a bigger snub than Jackson Merrill against
Paul Skeens.
Paul Skeens.
I do love Paul Skeens.
Both would be snubs, but... I think I just don't see the argument. Craig went through it in his show yesterday. Went through the good things that Milwaukee's Matt Arnold did, 3 or 4 good moves, and then went through the list of 15 things that AJ had to do to put together the team. It's I don't understand how anyone could have, other than just personal bias against AJ, could have made that decision that he was not the Executive of the Year. I think it should have been unanimous. And the fact that at least 16 other organizations voted against him is pretty petty, actually, in my mind, that they didn't pick AJ. But I think Mike Shildt has a good argument for Manager of the Year, and he will be one of the guys who is in the mix for the awards when they announce them coming up here in a few days.
Yeah, man. I mean, like you said, 93 wins in a year that didn't have much promise. It didn't show much promise at the beginning of the season. Average season, maybe back into the playoffs. But no, man, the way that they played, especially in the second half, was pretty admirable. The other thing that kind of sticks out to me about Shildt is that, honestly, you hear stuff from managers a lot, and it's sometimes you're like, oh, cool, manager speak. When this dude told us, we're fine now, we're going to get better as the year goes on, it actually happened. So it was a little bit jarring to see it actually play out that way.
Every manager who ever had a team in the first half of the season that maybe didn't perform the way they thought they would has said those exact words.
Yeah.
Just have in some form. Yeah, we just haven't played our best baseball
yet.
Whatever you want to say.
Shildt told us in spring training, you're going to see us start one way and you're going to see us finish another way. Obviously, the very end, was not our favorite thing. And I know it wasn't Mike Shilt's favorite thing either, the way that the season ended. 24 scoreless innings. That's an anomaly, though, for the San Diego Padres. And it's unfortunate that anomaly reared its ugly head when it did. But it was unquestionably an anomaly.
Yeah,
and I can live with
that
a little bit.
No one can reasonably say, well, Mike Shildt should have seen that coming.
Correct.
The warning signs were on the wall that his team was about to stop scoring entirely.
Yeah.
No, they weren't.
They weren't.
There was no warning signs at all. No one could have anticipated that. So, you definitely give him a pass for how the season ended.
And I saw throughout the season, if there were any criticisms of Mike Shildt, I saw plenty of criticisms of Mike Shildt. But none of them were ones that I saw and went, that's uncommon. I saw criticisms of how Dave Roberts managed his bullpen. I saw criticisms of how Torey Lovullo managed his, how Carlos Mendoza managed his, how Aaron Boone managed his. That is just your standard Twitter complaint. It happens every single year. It's going to happen next year. If you're a baseball fan, it's just one of those things you have to deal with. The guy in Spring Valley that works at a restaurant knows more about managing a bullpen than the skipper. That's just part of being a baseball fan. I feel it sometimes. I'm like, how do you do that there? We've all done it, second guessing the bullpen moves. So when you asked earlier, Benny, what are some things I would like to see Mike Shildt, work on with the team? Honestly, I don't know, because I don't know what the team looks like here. I don't know what it's going to look like spring training. I have no idea.
No, that is a valid question. But my question is more, what changes with Mike Shildt going forward? Not necessarily what he needs to work on with the team, but Mike Shildt personally as manager. Do you Does he change it all, knowing he has more security coming back? I think undoubtedly the answer to that question is yes, and we will get into it right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Well, guys, we are starting to see the usual slowing in the usual spots. Yeah, we're looking at you, West 52 heading out of Santee, but fortunately no incidents or accidents getting in your way at this time. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Spent a few moments praising continuity earlier this hour, but continuity cannot also mean stagnation. You cannot let continuity turn into complacency, or you are doomed to slowly erode and fall apart. And
I don't get the sense that
I don't get the sense at all. But as you said, Woods, every year is different, which means it requires a manager to have enough flexibility to go forward to know I may need to handle a different team in a slightly different way. And I think the biggest change for Mike Shildt in 2025 compared to 2024 is he's not coming in and trying to change a culture. He now has a team that should already be coming into spring training. Whatever changes are made, and there will be obviously roster changes, you are coming back with a 93-win team, a lot of those same players who have already bought into your philosophies and the way you do things. I think the Padres need to take advantage of that in 2025 and get off to a much faster start than they did last season. I loved, obviously, we're going to get better as the series goes on, game goes on, season goes on. It was a great philosophy, and you should never give that up.
You're saying that needs to not be the case now.
I'm not saying
I kind of agree with you.
I'm not saying it doesn't need to be the case, but I think you have an advantage over other teams that maybe, have more new pieces in the offseason. They're trying to rebuild cultures. You need to go out in the first couple of months of the season and just pick up where you left off. Not the last 24 innings, but the second half of the season when you had the best record in baseball, you need to now carry that in. You need to be hitting opening day kind of already at a full sprint and take advantage of that advantage, and not fall, 8 games behind the Dodgers and then having to, climb your way back in the second half of the season.
Again,
you need to start a little bit faster this year.
I mean, yes, it would be nice to go into the All-Star break not at 500, right? It would be nice to be up a few, up 6, 7, 8, whatever. Doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. All of those teams that came out gangbusters, yeah, one of them ended up in the World Series in the New York Yankees, but by the skin of their teeth. The Dodgers ended up, they were just pretty much gangbusters all year, save one little stretch in August, I think. But they were going to roll out of bed, Benny, and win the division. I think everybody felt that. Next year, they're going to be better. The hot start in baseball means nothing. The Phillies were like, I looked at the Phillies and went, if I had $50,000, I'd put it on them here on June 1st to win the World Series in a sweep.
We're all disappointed with how last season ended,
saying.
but that shouldn't mean you have to that seems like a knee-jerk reaction to be we have to jump out.
We got to have a sense of urgency. I really don't. Is it important to have a sense of urgency in the season? Sure, always, as you're a professional athlete. But I'm not going to lose one thing I learned from this year, I'm not going to lose my mind if they're 500 at the break. I'm not.
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, the Padres were 50-49 at the All-Star break this season. Had they been 53-46,
they could have won the division.
They could have won the division.
Correct.
And, that first round bye, home field advantage, like we said, it's a better path to the World Series. It finally played out this year where teams that actually got a bye and had home field advantage made it all the way to the World Series, and that was good. That was absolutely a good thing. Padres, Joe Musgrove had to pitch in the wild card series. That's where his elbow gave out.
Yeah.
They could have had him potentially in the division series. I don't know, I'm not saying
how it would have worked.
How it would have worked or not, but you always would like to try to win your division, get home field advantage, and to do that, you can't play 500 ball for 3 months in the year to start the season.
Well, let me ask you this, and it may be a tougher question to answer, but should winning the division here become something that this team really strives and puts all its eggs into that basket to do because of all of the benefits that you just mentioned. But I'm telling you, like, I don't want to say already here on November 6th, going for the division in the West is a bit of a fool's errand. But I'm not blind. I see the reports. Roki Sasaki will be posted. He will be a Dodger. That means they have a rotation of Yamamoto, Shohei Ohtani, Roki Sasaki, Dustin May, Tyler Glasnow, Clayton Kershaw, maybe Walker Buehler's back, and on and on and on and on
Tony
and on.
Gonsolin coming back.
On we go. Is that a fool's errand? But you also don't want to go into the season going, well, we can't win the division.
Yeah,
We're
well,
out.
no,
You know what I'm saying?
That's why. If you go for the division and fall short and win the wild card, it's fine. It's not. That's not the end of the world. If you go for the wild card and fall short and miss the playoffs, now that is where you have failed in your mission on a season.
AZ Jimmy actually just figured it out, and I'm going to present this to Mike Shildt the next time I talk to him. Forget about the Dodgers, bro. Forget about them. Play them as tough as you did this year, you'll be in good shape. Beat the effing Rockies. Make it your mission to destroy them. Remember the video game Mortal Kombat where you rip the guy's head off and pull his spine out? Do that to the Rockies.
Fatality.
Fatality. Make sure that when you play the Rockies, you bring your best. Make sure those guys look across the field. They don't see purple and silver. They see Dodger blue. Play the Rockies like you played the Dodgers. And you're going to be in great shape.
Well, when did the Padres play the Rockies? Most of their games. Early in that season when they were still figuring things out. Don't take the time to figure things out and get going against teams like the Rockies early in the year. Right.
Give me the spine. Pull it out by the spine.
I always played Sub-Zero where you'd freeze them and
the guy and
then
you could break
turn
him
into a big, ice shards at the end. That was the one I went with.
What a game. What a game Mortal Kombat was. My word. Yeah, dude. Like, handle business against those teams. Now, the funny thing is about last season, bro, we would play a mediocre team, and we're sweating bullets. We're like, oh, my God, the Tigers, the Pirates, they took us to we'd go and play a really good, competent team, and it was like we were the best team ever. So maybe that's something of, hey, I don't know if it's a mental letdown, whatever. We have to literally have that faceless opponent, the faceless ones. Don't look at their record. Don't worry about their record. Take the spine from everyone that you can. It doesn't matter their record because we saw, like, we helped get Detroit into the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Like that when I was at that game when they hit that walk-off or that when they hit the grand slam off of Suarez, like that propelled them. So don't take any opponents lightly. Play better against the crappier opponents, but be mindful. You can't give those games away to the Colorado Rockies. You just can't.
Now, do you think we're talking about the 2-year extension for Padres manager Mike Shildt? Do you think with some security, which he never really had, a 2-year deal is not a lot of security.
No.
Do you think his personality changes at all going forward? And by that, he was the relentless positivity, the refusal to acknowledge things that had gone wrong. I always thought part of that is, hey, I may only be here for a little bit. I'm going to put the best spin on this possible while I'm here. When you have a little more security, for some managers at least, it frees them up a little bit to be a little more critical of things that go on in their own organization. Do you expect to see that? Do you want to see that from Mike Shildt? Or do you want him to be who he was last year and just Mr. Hey, I think everything's going really well right now, and we're not going to change the attitude that made us successful this past season?
It's an interesting question, and you're asking, it's a loaded question.
It is.
It's very loaded. Do I want to have a conversation with Shildt where I say, hey, so what happened there in the 6th? And he says, yeah, total brain lapse on so-and-so's part, and
other managers do that.
Dave Roberts did it.
It's not the end of the world.
Dave Roberts did it to Shohei Ohtani in the playoffs. He said, yeah, he had a brain meltdown, and he didn't score from third on that ground ball to short when he should have. He didn't get a good jump, and he just kind of had a little brain fart. It's not the end of the world. Shohei didn't sulk into the corner, and so here's the thing. It's a loaded question because Yeah, man, I'd like to have better conversations with Shildt than, hey, what are you talking about, cuz? I'd like to have better conversations, but it's also not about me. I don't really care. If the players like you and they want to play hard for you, that's all I care about at the end of the day is dubs. That's it.
Yeah.
You guys know that. All I care about is dubs. It's not about my personal opinion or my personal relationship with the skipper. Do I think he could have been more honest in his assessment at times? Yeah. But who's to say he wasn't? Who's to say he wasn't when the door shut? Kimmy, you can't do that. You don't need to be at third there, man. Come on. We don't. I've heard that he was. I've heard that he was tougher on the players with the doors closed, which, by the way, great. I don't need to be a party to it, and I don't need to be privy to that information. If he wants to share it, he can.
A lot of those examples, like we all remember some of those early press conferences after games.
Yeah.
Where he would be questioned.
Well, he'd be mad about an innocuous phrase like a roller coaster.
Right. And he would react a certain way, and we go, what the hell? What?
What? Yeah.
And then I felt that way until I didn't. Which was probably sometime in June.
Yeah.
Halfway through the season,
when I
go,
was like, I'm over it.
It's not even that. It's not even that I was over it. It's that I go, this is just who he is.
This is what he is. So
He's not going to deter from this path that he's on, and this is who he is.
That's who he is.
This is how he's wired.
Yeah.
This is how he manages, and we ride.
And I think I'm okay with that. I really do. And I don't think anything's going to change, and I don't really necessarily think he should.
Can he and A.J. Preller continue to coexist as well as they did in the first season?
I think in any relationship, it seems like, and Dennis Lynn talked about it in his piece when he wrote about the extension. He said he's pretty much been the best that AJ's had so far at communication with one another. So that's good. You want that. You want them on the same page. But yeah, as far as the relentless positivity, I know fans don't like it. I don't necessarily always like it either. Toxically positive. I don't. Sometimes I want to hear. I'm a big fan of sometimes showing a little emotion. I think you can get your players fired up, but he certainly knows a lot more about managing those guys than any of us do. And I just kind of default to that.
Though, for all we know, he wasn't that relentless positivity when it mattered.
I mean, I talked to probably half a dozen players off the record about Shildt, and I'll tell you again off the record, hey, what's it? Is it good? It's great. It's great. We love him. Best it's ever been. Yeah. I mean, again.
Guys that have been here for more than 6 months.
Who am I to say that he's doing it the wrong way? Again, hey, this is off the record. How's everything? It's good. He's great. Fantastic, man. Shilt's the best. Okay, great. That's all. If you're happy, then I'm happy.
It is
Go out and win some games.
It's different than Bob Melvin. Even after the Padres had their good first season, if you really knew, now what we know that we do now that we didn't know then.
Yeah.
There was already problems. They just were covered up because of winning. I don't get the sense that winning covered up any problems this year. I think that they won because there really weren't that many problems.
I think it was a better. I mean, you could see it. We have the privilege of being able to go into the locker room pregame and stuff, and the vibe from Melvin days and Shildt days was. I mean, it was palpable. You could see it, and that's good. That's what you want. You want your guys loose, having fun, being together, and I hope that continues because, win or lose the World Series next year, it sure was a fun season to cover. I mean, it really was. It was a really, really fun season to cover. No BS leaking out, no drama. Really, it was really spectacular. Don't you agree?
I do. I want them to show up in 2025, whether it's true or not, whether they're being picked to win the division or go to the playoffs. I want them to show up like they're the team to beat.
100%.
Next year.
100%.
They're not the underdogs anymore.
Yep.
Go, and you've already got the swagger, but I want to see that that confidence that, every day everyone's trying to gun for us, but we're, like you also saw with the Yankees and, those type of teams. I know they don't have the rings to back it up yet, but I always think that's a good attitude to come at the game hey, this is our game. We're gonna take it to you.
No doubt. We can talk more about this too. I got
absolutely. A little news featuring another manager that has been close to the program as well. We'll get to that and take on Woods coming up. Hour number 2. Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. A lot of managerial talk this morning on Ben and Woods. Welcome back. It is Wednesday. We're halfway through the work week, and we talked about Mike Shilt's contract extension. Also some news. A friend of the program, Skip Schumacher, will take a role in the Texas Rangers organization as a special assistant
Rangers
to general manager Chris Young. Now, I assume you shot a text to Skip at some point yesterday. Can you give us any more info on what that role entails?
So I
Skip?
I texted him immediately, selfishly, and I said, dude, congrats. Spring training back in Arizona and work from home? ? So Skip had wanted to be on the West Coast, right? Now, Texas is not on the West Coast.
It's more in the middle of the country.
More in the middle of the country.
Geography Texas lesson. Rangers.
Who is it, Paulie?
The Texas Rangers.
Skip, who are you working for?
The Texas Rangers.
Skip is going to develop an accent now.
Next time he calls in, oh, hey, how y'all doing?
The
Sounds
Texas
like
Rangers.
So I texted him, I said, bro, spring training. Because he and every other manager that has to manage, and they have to go to spring training in Florida, from what I've heard, it's maybe the worst experience of their lives. They're like, all right, guys, we got a 4-hour drive today on the bus to go out and play these games. I mean, it's just horrid. Arizona,
I know you guys already don't care about this game, but we're going to drive for 3.5 hours.
Yeah, I know you don't care about it. I'm going to make it 50 times worse, okay? That's what I'm going to do. Everybody on the bus, and let's go. You get your 2 ABs, and then you're done. So Florida spring training sucks. So he was stoked about that, and he goes, yeah, I get to make my own schedule, 30 minutes away from TCU. Incredible opportunity. And then I remembered his son Brody plays for TCU, and he is a stud. And so now, so I said, but wait, just to clarify, you don't have to move to Texas. He goes, no, I make my own schedule. I can go out there when I want, on their dime, right? And do your thing. And hey, all right, yeah, swing looks good. All right, well, I'm going to go see Brody play. I mean, he's obviously going to do more than that, but my point remains the same. He gets to be home. He's got a daughter in high school, so he gets to stay home with his wife, his family. Still be an advisor, still be in the game.
Just like our buddy Nick Hunley.
Just like Nick
Good
Hunley.
morning, Nick. I know you listen.
Nick's a big tier one.
He's a special assistant or senior
to
advisor.
The Texas Rangers.
Whatever the phrasing is on these job titles. Yeah, special assistant, senior advisor, whatever. And he's working under Bochy and Chris Young, and he gets to live in San Diego still and be with his family and
it's great.
Work from home and make the occasional trip out when you need to and catch them when they're here in San Diego or Southern California and go out to spring training and be seen.
Skip has landed my dream job. My dream job. What was your dream job? Now, I pretty much am doing my dream job. This is a dream. I mean, truly. Like, this is a dream.
Working with me. Working
with Paul.
Oh.
And Adam and Michael is my dream. And Chris Ello and Craig Elston and Annie Heilbrunn and everybody else that's here. Tony Gwynn Jr.
Sam Levitt.
Matt Scraby.
Braden Soprenet. Everyone. I want to be
Paul.
Love Italian Paul. I want to be an advisor. I've always wanted to be a consultant / advisor.
You'd actually be a good one.
At something. I want to be. That's what I want to do. That's my life's calling.
You're my radio consultant.
I am your radio consultant. But so he's landed that gig. So he gets to go out. He gets to put the uniform on at spring training, be with the guys, impart his knowledge, and guess what? Glean a bunch of knowledge from really smart people like, I don't know, Bruce Bochy and Chris Young, who've won a World Series already there. He gets to be around young talent like Wyatt Langford and all those studs that they got on that team. They had a bad year, but they're going to want to bounce back. Like, that's a dope job.
So I'd imagine that he is not going to address it, but a lot of the speculation quickly centered around the fact that with Will Venable now taking a managerial job in Chicago, and he having been kind of the heir apparent to Bruce Bochy, does that make Skip Schumacher, who, by the way, this role, very similar to the one Mike Shildt took with the San Diego Padres a couple of years ago.
Need a second.
Before taking over as manager. No, I think I fought through it.
You got it? Okay.
Is he now in line to perhaps be the next manager of the Texas Rangers when Boch retires again?
So normally I would say, yeah, unquestionably. But I thought the Marlins would have already named Gabe Kapler the manager, and they're looking at the Dodgers' first base coach and other base coaches around baseball.
That could just be due diligence.
That could be due diligence, and they say, we'll just give it to Cap. But look,
Or
man.
but maybe Skip has different priorities now. Maybe
he wants to be an executive.
He dabbled as a manager. He was successful as a manager. He was the manager of the year just a couple of seasons ago. But maybe he wants to follow more like Chris Young than Will Venable.
Maybe. Something tells me.
You tell me you wouldn't give the keys to your franchise to Skip Schumacher?
In a heartbeat.
In another sport, Steve Kerr did both, was the GM of the Phoenix Suns and then a successful coach. There are people who certainly have done both in this business. I remember Trader Jack McKeon was both manager and a general manager if he wants to go that route. But I think this is...
But it's such a savvy move.
Well, I think this is maybe even a bit of a new trend. Mike Shildt, you can say, is the trend setter. Is there a better way to get more familiar with an organization than taking on a role like a special assistant where you have the flexibility to go down to the minors and, meet some of your prospects, work with them at Double-A and Single A as they're coming up, but also, hey, if the third base coach has to be out for a couple of weeks with like a surgery or, you can jump in with the major league staff and work like Mike Shildt did and learn all facets of an organization. And then if they need you, you're ready to step. They've got a built-in guy who's ready to step in, who knows their team, who knows their philosophies. And, this is a great spot for Skip to be in.
Well, it's a good organization. And it's an organization that is committed to winning. And I know they're kind of going through what we're going through. The TV deal for them is going to make them have to cut some money, and he's going to probably help with player evaluations and things like that. And look, the sky's the limit for a guy like that. And I love that. What I love is that when the thing in Miami, when they went their separate ways, what I love about it is that he didn't go, cool, I'll take the White Sox gig that he absolutely could have had, or cool, I'll take the Reds gig that he absolutely could have had. It's a smart, savvy move to say, no, like I'm not going to do that. I'm going to bide my time and go with the best opportunity. Now, let's be completely honest. You friggin' know that if Dave Roberts got canned, the Dodgers are calling that guy. They were absolutely calling him. I'm sure he knew it as well.
And I don't think he turned that job
down. And I don't
down.
think he turned that job down.
But I think a perfect example of what Ben was talking about, of familiarizing yourself with the system, the organization, the prospects, was about a year ago next week when Mike Shildt had his introductory press conference.
Yep.
And we all went down there, and Woods and I parked at the same time, and we're walking over. And we see a kid walk past with his girlfriend, and Woods goes, I think that was Jackson Merrill.
Pretty sure that's Jackson Merrill there.
And look, we knew of Jackson Merrill. We had never talked to Jackson Merrill yet. Had no idea that he was going to be on the opening day roster, let alone in center field at that time. We talk to him for a minute, and we go, hey, so we're about to head over to this Mike Shildt presser. We're like, what are your thoughts? And he goes, oh.
Love Shilty.
Love him. I've worked with him a ton over the last couple of years.
He was down there getting his hands dirty.
Yes. That's a great way to familiarize yourself.
Yeah, it's a good gig. It's a really good gig. It's such a cush gig. I'm so mad at him. The cush. He doesn't have to go to the south side of Chicago and grind it out with Miguel Vargas and a bunch of the other no-names that they got there, or he doesn't have to go to Cincinnati and go in the Great American Ballpark turd farm and try to mold that team into a 70-win team. He just gets to... go out, do my thing.
All right, put your consulting dreams on hold for a second. We have Take on Woods coming up.
That's all I'm going to be thinking about.
Need a contestant here. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Chance to win instantly. Got those Tom Segura tickets to the show this Friday night at Pechanga Arena up for grabs. If you want to take on Woods in our musical trivia, 5 questions. Call now, 833-288-0973. The consultant gig usually comes with a nice... expense account as well. They fly you in somewhere, put you up at a nice hotel, pay for some meals. You come work with the staff. You have a lot of respect and authority because the bosses have already said, hey, we're bringing this guy in. You really should pay attention to what he has to say. So you walk in with some cachet.
Yeah, you walk in with some cachet and you just tell him, look, I'm not here to ruffle any feathers, guys.
Now
here to help.
You've also complained about some consultants that you have not had good feelings about in the past.
Well, maybe because I had the worst consultant in radio known to man. The guy that never listened to our show, picked it apart, and then hit us with, hey, and just so you guys know, this Tuesday is Halle Berry's 50th birthday. And the silence on the phone. Excuse me? This Tuesday is Halle Berry's 50th birthday. All right, so what do you want me to do with that? Do you want me to sing her a happy birthday? You want me to wish her a happy birthday on air? Is that going to do something for my audience? And I spiraled. I spiraled. I called my boss later, and I go, that's it. We're not doing this anymore. And he's like, I know. It was kind of a, throwaway comment. I go, it wasn't. That's his idea of a good bit. Hey, guys, it's Halle Berry's 50th. What do you want us to do with it? Is she coming in studio? Do you want me to review her best movies, her worst movies? What do you want me to do with Halle Berry's 50th? What are we, a birthday shout-out show? Celebrity birthday shout-outs? Lost my mind. So that's why I wouldn't do that. I would actually
birthday to Padres superfan Emma Stone.
Oh, is that today?
Turned 36 today.
Nice.
Happy birthday, Emma Stone. That's it. There's the bit.
It's Ethan Hawke's 54th birthday.
Was that entertaining for anybody out there? Anybody? Did anybody go, oh, hell yeah.
Sally Field turned 78 today.
Lord. Yeah, there we go. Celebrity birthdays on Ben and Woods.
All right, I see a
It's a great
contestant ready to go. Let's play a little Take on Woods. All right, let's go out to line 1. Caller, who's this?
Hey, it's Gerald.
Gerald, did you say? Or Daryl?
Yes, it is.
Gerald. All right, Gerald.
What's up, Gerald?
You are up to take on Woods today. It's brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. It only takes 15 minutes. You don't have to get out of your car. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. That's SoCalOilChange.com. Again, playing for the Tom Segura tickets this Friday. Are you still there, Gerald?
Yeah,
All
still
right.
here.
This Friday at Pechanga Arena, and you get to choose our category today. We've got Shh. Those are 5 one-word song titles that begin with the letters SH. Lover, Not a Fighter. Song titles and artists that include lover in the name. And Locking Down the Save. Those are 5 song titles that begin with the word save. So, Shh. Lover, Not a Fighter, or Locking Down the Save. What would you like to play?
Let's go. Shh.
All right. Shh. Be careful with that. We've got 5 questions. Again, all one-word song titles. And they all begin with the letters S. H. You have 60 seconds for the 5 questions. You can pass. If you don't know one, we'll come back to it if there's time left. First question's the 2-second song. Paulie's queuing it up now. You need to give me that one-word song title and the artist to score that point. Gerald, you ready to play?
Let's go.
All right. 60 seconds on the clock. The category is Shh. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, Gerald. Let's take on Woods.
Shoot.
By?
Salt and pepper?
Correct. Which 1984 hit by Tears for Fears shares a title with a Grammy Hall of Fame song recorded in 1959 by the Isley Brothers?
Pass.
Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper teamed up for which Academy Award-winning best song from the 2019 movie A Star is Born?
A pass.
Only Frankie Valli, and occasionally yours truly, can hit the highs necessary for which 1962 song originally titled Jackie Baby and named for the then First Lady?
Over by tied. Pass.
Which 1993 single was the breakthrough debut hit for the band Collective Soul?
God. On a tip. Pass.
All right. Which 1984 hit by Tears for Fears shares a title with a Grammy Hall of Fame song recorded in 1959 by the Isley Brothers? Oh, started out so well. Gerald, just the one, though. Shoop by Salt and Pepper. The ones you did not get. Shout. Shallow, Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. Sherry and Shine.
I don't think one is
No,
going to get
it's
the job
not
done
this time.
today.
I think Woods goes for the clean sweep here.
Yeah.
That would be my guess, at least. All right, Tom Segura tickets on the line. Woods, 60 seconds back on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck. Let's take on Gerald. Pass. Which 1984 hit by Tears for Fears shares a title with a Grammy Hall of Fame song recorded in 1959 by the Isley Brothers?
Head Over Heels?
Incorrect. Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper teamed up for which Academy Award-winning best song?
Shallow.
Correct. Only Frankie Valli and occasionally yours truly can hit the highs necessary for which 1962 song originally titled Jackie Baby?
Sherry.
Correct. Which 1993 single was the breakthrough debut hit for the band Collective Soul?
Crap. You're all. What's the name of that stupid? Heaven Let Your Light Shine.
Incorrect.
Down.
Go back to the first song.
What is this?
Wow. This is surprising.
No good, man.
Oh, wow.
I'm off my game. Did I lose?
Just a two.
Two. That's it.
We predicted you would sweep this category. Woods, 2-1. You did win today over Gerald. He got the song, though. That was Shoop by Salt and Pepper.
Oh, I still don't remember that.
Peppa.
I don't remember the intro.
I want to shoot.
I like that
baby,
song,
shoot.
but I don't remember that intro.
Here we go.
And then
What was the
what do they all
Collective
have in
Soul?
Shine.
Heaven Let Your Light Shine,
Shine.
Down. Okay, just shine.
Shout by Tears for Fears.
Shout.
Shallow.
Oh, this
And
would have helped
Sherry.
me. Yeah, that would have helped me
All
tremendously.
SH. One word SH songs.
All right.
But two. That was a surprisingly close game today.
Hey, 2-1 win, still a win.
It is a win.
Yep.
You don't care how you do it. You just got to get the win. So we will put the tickets to Tom Segura back in the hopper, give them out a little bit later in the show. But, Gerald, thanks for calling in and playing today. We'll have some real or fake for everyone tomorrow for your chance to win some Tom Segura tickets. Don't Do This is next. And Mike Gundy is always...
Oh, is he back?
He's back. Back apologizing for something he did on Monday. So that's always a good place to start with Don't Do This. That is coming up next after traffic.
He's a borderline Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he is getting there. He's definitely getting there.
He's borderline. He's in the coaches Mount Rushmore, I think, for sure.
Don't Do This. Coaches Hall of Fame for sure. Coming up after traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
It's hard to get into the Don't Do This Hall of Fame, but one college football coach is certainly making his case, as he has been since, since I'm a man. I'm 40. That rant that happened 12 years ago, because he's 52 now, I believe. That would be Oklahoma State's Mike Gundy, who leads off our segment today after posting an apology yesterday for comments he made during his weekly Monday news conference. He certainly shoots...
after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
He certainly shoots from the hip.
I give a rat's ass about Twitter.
So good.
So, I'll start with the apology, and I'll go back and tell you what he actually said.
Working backwards.
Mike Gundy, I apologize to those who my comments during Monday's media call offended. My intent was not to offend any of our fans who have supported us and this program through the years. So, the Oklahoma State Cowboys are struggling. They are now 0-6 in conference play and one loss away from clinching their first losing season since 2005. It's been a rough year, and as tends to be the case with sports fans, when your team is doing poorly, they start becoming critical. And Gundy was hearing some of the criticism and went off and started blaming, the fans for getting negative. He said, they want to point the finger, blame other people. You see it happen in everyday life. People do it all the time. That's why I refuse to watch the TV and watch the news, because I get tired of people complaining and bitching about this and that versus just doing something about it, trying to figure out a way to make it better. In most cases, the people that are negative and voicing their opinions are the same ones that can't pay their own bills. They're not taking care of themselves. They're not taking care of their own family. They're not taking care of their own job. But they have an obligation to speak out and complain about others because it makes them feel better. But then in the end, when they go to bed at night, they're the same failure that they were before they said anything negative about anyone else.
He's 0-6.
So it is actually okay to occasionally criticize your own team, your own football program that you are a fan of, especially when they're having their worst season in 20 years. Does not necessarily make you a deadbeat dad or a bad employee or, an abusing spouse just because you think Mike Gundy is not doing a very good job as head coach of the Oklahoma State Cowboys.
Y'all think it's easy to come in here and go 0-6 in conference. It ain't. It ain't easy. All right, man. I mean, you win a couple games, they're not going to complain. It's pretty much the letter of sports fandom. I'll update you guys on a story we told you about Joel Embiid. Well, his suspension has come down from the NBA. He had a physical altercation with a reporter, Marcus Hayes of the Philadelphia Inquirer, who criticized Embiid's absence from games. Also kind of invoked his late brother and his son in the process. And, Joel Embiid took exception to that, and I think for good reason. I think it was an unnecessary shot, but did put hands on the guy, and the NBA has suspended him for 3 games. And obviously everyone on Twitter made the joke, you want to really punish Joel Embiid, make him play 3 games in a row. Then he's really going to get punished. Having to play 3 games is a severe punishment for Joel Embiid. So he's going to sit.
Yeah, in some ways, you're just helping the Sixers with
Yeah,
load management.
that's exactly
here.
right.
All right, suspension that takes care of 3 more games that he doesn't have to play.
Yeah. Oh no, 3 days off that I was already going to take anyway.
They are in L.A. tonight to take on the Clippers.
Okay.
So does that suspension start now? Do we know how that works? Is there an appeal process? I don't even know. Not sure.
Not sure.
Was he going to play anyway? I have no idea.
I don't think so.
Yeah. All right, I don't really have a do this.
It will only. Here it is. Here's an update. He has yet to play this season as he recovers from an injury, and the suspension will only kick in once he is listed as an active player. So you can't just sit out these next 3 games if he's not.
But they
listed
can
as
always
active.
go, well,
He's active.
He's going to be ready in about 3 games, so let's activate him now
Tonight.
Sit through the suspension, then he'll be ready to go when he's actually ready
But
to
I mean,
go.
obviously he is hurt, right? Or he would have played.
Okay, so this is the weird thing. I have no doubt that he is not physically 100% healthy, but they don't ever say he's dealing with a knee injury. They keep calling it knee injury management as opposed to just, hey, he's out with a knee injury. They just don't say that. No, they say, we're injury managing Joel Embiid. And that's different than being injured when you're just managing someone's injury.
Cute or what?
I don't know. It makes you think, well, he could play if you wanted him to. Like, this was a playoff game. He probably could play, but they're not doing it because they're managing his left knee injury. I don't really have a do this, but I do want to offer
mega do
prayers and best wishes. Have you watched College Game Day and Kirk Herbstreit and his dog Ben that he brings? Cute, very cute, like retriever. Golden retriever kind of dog that he travels with them all over the place.
And interrupts their live hits like when they're in the booth.
It's actually very sweet. And Kirk clearly loves this dog more than anything else. And maybe that's the do this, how much he loves his pet.
Once he takes him to College Game
I
Day,
saw it.
and he flies.
We've all known that Ben has had some health challenges, but Kirk posted that I've had so many people asking me about Ben. I wanted to let you know Ben had his 2nd chemo injection on October 23rd. From that day, it's been getting worse and worse. He's lost the use of his back legs, almost like they're paralyzed.
How is this a do
It's not. It's how much Ben. It's how much Ben is loved by Kirk Herbstreit and everybody that's praying for this dog. He can barely walk. He hasn't eaten in 3 days. I'm currently in Pennsylvania with a holistic doctor who's administering a 3-day vitamin C IV, hoping it'll flush the toxins from his body. Give him a chance. The next 48 hours will tell us if he has a chance or not. I'm so thankful for all the love so many have shown him over the last couple of years. One of the hardest things I've gone through in my life. Ben is my best friend and companion. I love him with all of my heart. You're a spiritual person. I'd love you to pray for my boy. He's currently in an ER hospital overnight. I'm picking him up tomorrow for another round of vitamin C. Please pray for Ben and hope he pulls out of it. Yes, I know it's not a...
Coming up next on Do This, my grandfather, ravaged by cancer, passes away.
Sorry. I know it's...
D.D. Magadoo-Doo. Woodsy's grandfather...
Magadoo-Doo.
I love how much Kirk Herbstreit loves Ben.
Died of cancer.
And that's don't do this and just being sad.
And just
on a Wednesday.
And whatever that was.
Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
If we don't have a third story,
you just bang it.
It's okay.
Next time. You just bang it. Next time.
Really like the integrity of the 3. The
threeness, as
I
it were.
really need the 3. Somehow I need a 3.
I kept waiting for hey, he's going to be okay. He's all good.
no, actually, it doesn't look that way.
He
We'll find out.
I haven't seen an update since then.
He regained the use of his legs, and so good. He's on the road to recovery. No, he's actually getting worse, and he's getting a vitamin C shot.
Well, now that the vibes are right, I'm so glad to have Steve Fisher joining us next.
Coach Fisher will help us kick off basketball season in San Diego.
Yes, finally.
When we come back
Something
with Ben and
positive.
Woods on 97.3 The Fan. You know how much we love baseball opening day? Basketball opening day has become a great tradition in San Diego as well. We're going to hold off on our traffic report because I want to get right out to our next guest as San Diego State gets ready to open the NCAA college basketball season tonight at Viejas Arena against UC San Diego. We are joined by the legendary architect of the San Diego State basketball program. Steve Fisher is back with us here on 97.3 The Fan. Coach, good morning. Happy basketball season. It's always a treat and an honor to talk to you.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'm a regular listener every day, and I'm honored to be on with you again.
Well, listen, between you, Coach, and Ben Higgins over here, and Paulie the alum, and Coach Brian Dutcher, you guys have turned me – I didn't go to STSU. My wife did, but you guys have turned me into a fairly – each year I get a little more rabid about Aztecs basketball. And I got to tell you, I'm after Padres season and the way that it ended, I'm as fired up to turn the page tonight and watch these guys go out and play. How excited are you for this?
I'm very anxious and excited for another season.
Yeah.
I'm a big Padre fan, too, like you guys are, and it was unfortunate the way it ended, but they had a wonderful season, and there's positive vibes in the city of San Diego on both the Padres and the Aztecs, which is great.
So, Coach, obviously this is a very new team for Brian Dutcher, but that is the new normal in college basketball with the transfer portal and teams having to turn over rosters unlike they ever have before. What's your read on just the overall situation in college basketball and what it looks like now here in the year 2024?
It is. It's a roster that even if you have 15 freshmen on your team, you don't know who you're going to have the following year because of what we're dealing with NIL and all of that. It's the new normal. Something will be different 2 or 3 years from now, but as we are speaking today, we're dealing with it, and Coach Dutcher and his staff have done a great job of building rosters, keeping the chemistry and the framework and the togetherness that have had great success. But it's different. We have gone from an old team to a quite young team, and obviously a very new team to one another. So it'll be interesting to see how we come out of the gate.
Talking to the great Steve Fisher here on Ben and Woods this morning, and it's funny, not to bring it back to baseball again, but I asked the pitching coach, Ruben Niebla, how long does it usually take you, Ruben, to figure out kind of who slots in where and what roles they have? How is that for a basketball coach? How much time do you need? I know you can practice every single day. You can have scrimmages. You can have blowout scrimmages, Coach. But how long do you think it's going to take Dutch, or how long did it take you to say, all right, this is our rotation, this is where we need, or is it game dependent, opponent dependent?
I think it's roster dependent, and the longer you have a player in your program, the more comfortable you are with who he is, how he'll play in crucial moments, and that determines a lot. I've had teams where you almost knew, even though you go into a season saying you earn a position, you almost knew who the starters were going to be. I think this year's team with Coach Dutcher, we've got a lot of flexibility and a lot of uncertainty. I think the casual fans, B.J. Davis, when they heard he scored 20-some-odd points in the scrimmage against UCLA, some of them said, who is he? He was on the team last year but played sparingly. So we're dealing with that. I think we're also, for us, it's unfortunate, but the player that we thought would be the most reliable, Reese Waters, is now on the shelf for another, who knows how long, a couple months, maybe longer, I don't know. So we'll be a team, I think, in flux that they'll determine who's going to get minutes and earn minutes, and it could change as the non-conference season rolls on this year for us.
Heard Dutch say this week that he's starting his 8th season as head coach, and I immediately thought, well, that's wrong. It hasn't possibly been 8 years. It has actually been 8 seasons now for Brian Dutcher. And Coach, obviously you guys came together to San Diego, 25 years ago, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on Dutch now as a head coach, an established head coach, and the job that he has done and built off what you guys started together, and what maybe he's done differently than you, in the last 8 years, and obviously he's done a lot of things the same as well.
Brian Dutcher and I go back to 1988 when we were both assistants at University of Michigan. We've had a working relationship and a very strong friendship for all of those years. I knew that Coach Dutcher was going to be an exceptional head basketball coach when the opportunity presented itself. It just takes time, and most people don't want to wait as long as Dutch waited for his opportunity at San Diego State. But I think when you have happiness, when you like where you are and who you're with, you get comfortable in saying, why look to leave? And that was his thought process. But when he got the opportunity, I knew that he would be successful, and he has done that beyond words. Taking a team to the national championship game is every coach's aspiration to make a Final Four. He's done that, and he's done it at San Diego State in a program that together we saw one brick at a time what it took to grow a program. So what he's done has not surprised me. And he's done it with a steady hand on the rudder, not jerking it when you lose a game you're not supposed to lose. And I think consistency, how the perception your players have with you, and with him, it's always steady, always a belief in the players and the program and the people who are there, and it rubs off. And so he's done a great job, will continue to do a great job. Very proud of what he's done with the program.
But one thing that you both have in common, that I've met a lot of basketball coaches, and the great ones are passionate and great teachers, and they have a lot of things in common, but they're not all nice. And you two are so nice, and that's not always the case. I've noticed, especially with college basketball coaches, who can sometimes be a little rough and a little difficult. And how did you guys do it and always maintain just being the nicest guys in the room?
I think if you treat people with respect, that media has a job to do. After a tough loss, it can be extremely difficult when you get a question that you say, I can't believe you're asking that in your own mind. But you take a deep breath and you respectfully answer the question. And I think if you have that attitude towards your players, you'll treat them the same way. I'm a father, and if you have a son or a daughter, you want them to be treated that same way. You want someone to put an arm around them the right time. You want them to discipline them. You want someone that will do the right things for your own. And that's, I think, what we've tried to do. If you're a person with a family, if you follow that precepts, if you treat others like you would your own son or daughter, you're going to have a relationship with other people. And I mean, life is too short to go run around being mad all the time and building up Ozies, saying, "Oh, I'm going to get him back. I'll get him back." If you just do your job, do it in the right way, good things will happen for everybody. And that's what we've tried to do in a program that is very visible, and everybody sees what you do. And it's unlike some jobs, it's there in front of everybody, but you do it in a way you can feel proud of and go home and say, I feel good about how the day went.
Now, Coach, I personally love when coaches yell at my kids, both of them. They both deserve it most of the time, so I actually don't have a problem with it. But I did want to ask, and I think we're just conditioned, San Diego sports fan, but there was somebody in the chat said, man, I'm excited, but it sucks. This is going to be a rebuilding year for the Aztec program. Would you push back on that at all?
I would say, what do you mean by a rebuild? We're starting anew with a lot of new players, but we have a floor that is expectations for everybody, which is higher than most. So you start there. We're going to be good. Now, will we be undefeated? Probably not. Will we lose a game that people say, how'd they lose that game? Maybe. But we will be a team that in the Dutcher era has always been able to do is be better in February than you were in January, and hopefully be at your peak when tournament time rolls around. We're going to be a contender for the Mountain West Conference tournament, which is what we want to do. You want to win your league. You want to make the tournament. And I think we've got a great opportunity to do that. We got a lot of new names that it's like a new coach. You know, you talked about Dutch. You know, some people have not, they haven't seen some of our players, some of our new kids. So I think when you see them and you get to know them a little bit, you say, we do have expectations. We do have talent. We're going to continue to be good.
A lot of new names, but the best one is Magoon. I don't think you're going to get a better name than Magoon.
And Guath.
Guath is also
fantastic.
Pretty good. I saw
Magoon
4 block
Guath.
shots in that game against Cal State San Marcos in the scrimmage. There are a lot of exciting players. I think fans are going to be very intrigued to see what Coach Dutch has on the floor tonight. I know you got to get off on your day to the arena and to San Diego State, so we appreciate you joining us. Best to your entire family, and hopefully everybody's doing well, and thank you for your time this morning.
Gentlemen, I'm honored to be on with you. Look forward to doing it again, and let's see if we can get off to a great start tonight.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach Steve Fisher with us, and someone pointed out in the chat, I think Coach Fisher has multiple legacies in San Diego, but I want to bring up 2 of them here, and we'll get to that right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
We're getting reports of a trash truck on fire, Hamishaw Road, right at the 94. Also, collision involving a car and a motorcycle northbound 5 before H Street. That's over to the right shoulder. Northbound 5 coastline past Delmar Heights Road. There's a stalled car in the fast lane. And we got a crash on southbound 5 coastline before Cannon. That's got the fast lane blocked. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
The story has been told so many times before that sometimes I feel like it's repetitive, but there's always new listeners and new people to San Diego and the Aztecs program. If you haven't been here for 25 years, you have to know San Diego State basketball wasn't just mediocre. San Diego State basketball was abysmal. It was maybe the worst college basketball program in America before Steve Fisher arrived. And that's saying something. They didn't have VA. They played in the gym, Peterson Gym. Like a few hundred people would show up, and they'd go 0-27, 5-21. I mean,
high schools have better gyms.
They were horrifically bad. It would have been an incredible turnaround just to get them anywhere near 500. And Steve Fisher came, with a national championship in tow from Michigan, but no one in San Diego knew who he was. The students didn't know who he was. He would walk around campus with tickets in his pocket going, hey, can you come to the game tonight? Here, come see us play. Come check out our new arena, Viejas, and see us play. And the first couple of years were rough. It took a while to rebuild the program, but they stuck with it and turned it into Viejas Arena into an unbelievable college basketball environment. Some might say one of the best, if not the best, in all of college basketball. It is one of the most incredible sports turnarounds that we've ever seen in any sport, to go from the bottom of the barrel, hundreds of teams, and you are at the bottom, to a team that 2 years ago played for a national championship. It is really incredible. They've inspired, as was pointed out in the chat, Steve Ballmer's wall at the Intuit Dome is inspired by the show and the enthusiasm that fans show for San Diego State basketball, which is all incredible. But there's another legacy that's going to be on display tonight, and I wanted to point that out as well. College basketball has been lifted in this town as well. When they take on UCSD tonight, UCSD for the first time ever will start a season as a fully eligible Division I college basketball program tonight. They could be in the NCAA tournament at the end of the year. The excitement about college basketball has filtered into the entire community. And now UCSD, which used to be a Division III program when my brother played, and then they transitioned into Division II, is now playing fully alongside and, can challenge San Diego State. They nearly beat them last year. They have a good team this year. I don't expect it to be an easy game for the Aztecs tonight by any stretch of the imagination, but they have increased the passion for college basketball in San Diego. And this all still goes back, I think, to Steve Fisher arriving here 25 years ago with Brian Dutcher, his friend and former assistant at Michigan, to take over what must have been one of the most bleak landscapes. All right, here's your job. You got nothing. You got nothing to start with. Let's build it from scratch. And they did, Woods, and that is That is so impressive.
Well, the brick by brick thing is always. I mean, and I think Coach Fisher has mentioned brick by brick every single time he's been on our program, and pretty obvious that he did it. I also thought you were going to talk about potentially his the other legacy, the legacy he has as a father, and his son Mark. His son Mark suffers from ALS, and to see how he is as a father and how he's always been as a father, it just
had another ALS walk, I think, just in the last couple of weeks. I emceed last year's. It's always a great event. They are at the forefront of raising money for the fight against ALS, and he and Angie, just unbelievable parents, just so supportive of what's going on through, obviously, just a devastating illness. And, Mark remains a part of the San Diego State basketball program, was an assistant coach, remains, a figure within the program as well. And, there's so many legacies. I can't even get to all of them here with Steve Fisher.
Just a great guest and great human every time. Dominic says, I was at State when Fish came in. The transformation is beyond words.
Yeah, Dominic was there when Fish showed up and had to walk around campus and
just
beg people to come to a game. I was on campus when they were 31 and
Kawhi Leonard
in 2010, 2011, and you had to camp out for several days
to get tickets,
just to get a ticket. And Coach Fisher and the basketball team would come out in the morning with coffee and donuts and walk down the line and thank the thousands of students who were camping out in the middle of February for a ticket.
That's amazing.
That's the transformation right there.
And I will admit, when Coach Fisher said, I always knew Dutch was going to be a great head coach. I wasn't sure. I thought maybe Fish was just the magic, and Dutch was too nice. He was too Dutch. There's no way he could carry this on. Not only has he carried it on, he's taken it to the next level, a level that I didn't think honestly was possible at San Diego State.
Let's keep it rolling.
So, good luck to the Aztecs tonight. Good luck to the Tritons. Good luck to the Toreros, who take on Ryder in their first game as well at the Jenny Craig Pavilion. All right, we'll come back. We'll get back to some Padres and baseball talk. More news from the GM's meetings, which I believe wrap up either today or tomorrow morning in Texas. All coming up in the second half of Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Don't go away.
Halfway home on a Wednesday. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Thank you again to the great and legendary coach, former coach of the Aztecs, Steve Fisher. And I tweeted, people ask me all the time, who's your favorite interview on Ben and Woods? And it just hit me. It's very obviously Coach Steve Fisher. He is as I tweeted, a legend and a beauty of a human being. And we've had some good ones, over the years. Certainly got to meet a lot of famous people, and doesn't really get much better than that for me. Every chance we get to talk to Coach Fisher is an honor, and it's just hard not to root for that guy, man. It's just really, really hard. What a good human he is.
For me, I just told you in the last segment there at the end, like my experience at San Diego State with that basketball program and how it gave me so many just cherished memories with my friends at that time. And to now be able to like call Coach Fisher a friend.
Yeah, it's the
and
best.
Like just call him up on our show and he's like, "Hey Paul, how you doing?" I'm like, "Oh my god,
it's great.
Like,
It's
how
like,
do you not fanboys
I
still?"
know.
You're like, oh,
That's
like
great.
I just feel like everybody wishes he was their grandfather.
Yeah,
he's
grandfather.
Just a gem of a human being.
That's right. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl. Ben Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well.
By the way, you were worried yesterday about figuring out how to watch tonight's game on the Mountain West Network.
I downloaded the Chevron app. I won't need it. Is that what you're telling me?
You will not need it. The Aztecs did announce yesterday that the game will now be broadcast on Channel 4, Your View, on Cox Cable and Spectrum Cable in San Diego, kind of like the old Padres channel, Channel 4. They've also picked up 3 other games, including next week's game against Occidental on Tuesday, the USD game on December 7th, and the Cal Baptist game on December 11th. So kind of the home bye games that are not on national network television will now be broadcast locally, at least to cable subscribers. If you don't have cable, you still can find it on the Mountain West Network, online or streaming.
Once again, Boomer Woods, no problem. Going to be able to watch it on the big screen tonight. Very happy about that.
No downloads required.
No, nothing. Laying in bed watching on my phone. Can put it on the big TV. Now it's at 7. So
that's your biggest issue.
That's my biggest issue. Usually try to hit the sack about 7:30, especially with the time change. I'm out, man. I get those kids down, and I am just cashed. But we got a birthday. My son Taylor turns 4 today, so we'll be celebrating his birthday. And I don't know what we're going to do.
Today's not Corvette Diner. That's later.
Friday.
That's Friday,
yeah,
right?
Going to be at Corvette Diner.
I've been at Corvette Diner in so long.
Place is elite. It's elite.
I used to dream about going to Corvette Diner. That was like, oh yeah, can you take us to Corvette Diner?
It's for little kids. Now, I mean, you got to remember they're going to be doing they do a lot of shtick, singing and whatnot.
For those of you who haven't been to Corvette Diner, it's like a 50s diner, like Jackrabbit Slims in the movie Pulp Fiction.
But nobody's doing lines in the bathroom of.
Well, you don't.
Well, I mean,
no, I have no idea.
Maybe.
What's going on in the bathroom at Corvette Diner?
It's true. I guess I don't know, but it's still a great place. And they got the 50s food and stuff and the shakes.
Milkshakes and malts and burgers and fries.
God, I would have thrived back then. I think we've talked about this. If we were back in the 50s, would I have been a greaser? Probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Jeans,
I
white
don't think we've talked
t-shirt.
about this.
Have we not?
You're
what would you
almost
have been?
one today.
Almost.
Honestly, you're almost one today.
I am greasy.
I would have been the guy who was still stuck in the 40s, still probably wearing the tie. And,
wouldn't you have been like the Madras guy? Is that what they call it, Madras?
I know the word, but I don't know.
The weird patterned shirts, like the preppy.
I don't think so. Yeah, I would have been the old school, probably button down white shirt with the thin tie that they used to wear.
Yeah. Stuck in the 40s.
Yeah.
Horn rimmed glasses.
Ben would have been a Soch.
I don't
know that he would have been a Soch.
I don't know. Were you cool enough to be a Soch?
I just don't know if I could have found anyone to go with me to the sock hop.
Many Soch-like qualities.
You have so many Soch.
But I don't know that you would have been an actual Soch.
I definitely would have been a greaser. Definitely. The rebel without a cause, pack of smokes rolled up right here.
You love The Outsiders when you read it.
I love The Outsiders.
S.E. Hinton.
S.E. Hinton, yeah, love The Outsiders. Great book, great movie.
Yeah, Jay to the Jail. I'm George McFly.
Yeah, George McFly. Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'll finish that up for you on Sunday. Not too early. I sleep in on Sunday.
What are you looking at, butthead?
Shoes untied. Oh,
Come on,
don't be so gullible, Higgins. Don't be so gullible.
Yeah, you would have skirted the line, though, between Soch and George McFly, I think. The greaser. How cool would that have been? Just ride up on your motor. Everyone had motorcycles. They all drove motorcycles. They all looked cool.
They didn't all drive motorcycles.
Or they had, like, cool, like, Chevys, like, badass cars.
Yes.
Yeah, it was
those cars, the classic cars, were very cool looking.
Yeah, I like that. 50s would have been fun, I think. A lot of fun. All right. Well, I digress.
All right, we had a little other baseball news yesterday from the winter meetings. Well, not really the news from the meetings or the GM's meetings, but the Dodgers did announce that Shohei Ohtani had, shockingly, surgery to repair a torn labrum. It wasn't just the partially dislocated, subluxated shoulder that they had said during the World Series. He actually tore his labrum, just like Ha-Seong Kim did, and that's why he probably only had one hit the rest of the World Series, and he was mostly just a decoy out there
he was
for the last 3 games.
Just like his dog's name is Decoy. Is that malpractice to let that guy, your $700 million investment, go up there with a torn labrum?
No, I don't think he made it any worse. I mean, they say he'll be ready for spring training. Had the surgery.
So when Ha-Seong Kim, they say he may not be back until June.
That's because
is it a degree of terror?
No, it's because it's Ha-Seong Kim's throwing shoulder, and I would assume, I don't know, is Ha-Seong Kim?
Yes,
will be ready to
hit it again.
Hit. Like, could he DH when spring training starts and he just can't throw?
I told you guys, when I went to the game in San Francisco, we walked down to our seats. Padres were hitting BP, and I looked over and I went, wow, somebody is knocking the snot out of the ball. And I go, oh, that's Ha-Seong Kim taking these violent hacks in the cage. And I'm like, if he can swing it like that, why isn't he playing? And it was the throw, right? And I'm like, okay, well, I guess you could DH, but we had guys that were playing really well at that time in Solano and Peralta at the DH slot. But I was like, they were violent swings, man. They were not like, I'm just going to get a little work in. I mean, he was absolutely tattooing
Now I'm
the
sure
ball.
Right after the surgery, you can't do anything and swing. And maybe it was a more severe labrum tear. I don't know the difference between the two, but I think the main difference for Shohei is it's his left shoulder. Had it been in his right shoulder and, he was trying to rehab his arm for pitching, that could have really impacted the Dodgers next season.
Big time,
so they caught a break that it was the left shoulder that he ended up tearing the labrum and not the right shoulder, because it would have totally thrown off his entire rehab process and maybe even kept him from pitching much of next season as well. But with the left shoulder, probably will be fine. They don't ask him to ever play the field, so that's not an issue, and it's not his throwing shoulder, so that's not a real part of it either.
Still very curious to see how he's deployed by Dave Roberts and Andrew Friedman and the Brain Trust in L.A. Just very curious as to see when they let him hit, how often he hits, how often he pitches. I know that Yamamoto, they have the extra day of rest. They probably, and I think we were talking to Eno Saris, he said they'll go with a six-man rotation
because they've got 2 pitchers that basically want to do a once-a-week schedule, and they'll be able to do that. They have plenty of pitchers to do it.
They do.
I mean, with, assuming, now, they could still have injuries, but not just Glasnow coming back, but who else they have? Gonsolin, May.
Dustin May. Clayton Kershaw potentially.
Potentially Clayton Kershaw.
They have Yamamoto. They could bring back Jack Flaherty. I mean, there's a ton of options. They have a ton of options. They have a ton of money. They're going to get who they want. And everyone's talking about Max Fried being a Dodger. He was celebrating with several of the Dodgers players. He's friendly with them. He knows them. He was a Dodger fan growing up. A lot of people think
and they still have their prospects, Bobby Miller, Landon Knack, who could take a step
Yeah, they're
forward
rolling
as well.
spring training about 13 deep, starting pitching-wise. So I think they'll be fine. But it will be interesting to see, how he responds. That's 2 surgeries in 2 off seasons for Shohei Ohtani.
Yep. Other injury news I saw yesterday, the Atlanta Braves said they do not expect Ronald Acuna Jr. or Spencer Strider to be back in time for the beginning of the 2025 season. They'll still be recovering that's of note to Padres fans because the beginning of the season for the Braves will be here in San Diego. Padres host the Braves on opening day. So looks like
Strider,
looks
no
like they
Acuna.
won't be facing Strider or Acuna, at least in that opening series against the Atlanta Braves, as neither of those guys' rehab is expected to be complete by the time spring training and the opener to the 2025 season rolls around. And did we mention it yesterday, the David Fry injury with the Guardians?
Yeah, that's bad, man.
He's elbow surgery, and it looks like he'll be out for most of next season. If he does come back, it'll only be as a DH for the last, maybe couple of months of the year.
That's a blow for them.
That is he was an all-star and was one of their better players. So that's a tough loss for the Cleveland Guardians next season.
Yeah, and a lot of teams, man, are already kind of starting behind the 8 ball right now. Luckily, I think that's the other thing. We were talking about Mike Shildt and the Padres earlier. Injuries. We had guys banged up. Certainly, Manny was banged up at the beginning of the year. Xander got banged up. Tatis was banged up. Honestly, though, like the way that they played, navigating through all of that was pretty admirable, and I don't know that we've given them enough credit for that. But those are one of those things that can just derail a team from the get-go. And the Braves were great. I mean, they ended up making the playoffs. They had half their team hurt for most of the year. The Dodgers as well were ravaged by injuries, and it's just kind of one of those things you can't really control, and you just kind of cross your fingers and hope for the best and hope you're deep enough to withstand it. And the Padres were, the Braves were, and the Dodgers were certainly going on to win the World Series. So depth remains a very, very key thing for A.J. Preller to focus on.
Mike in the chat also points out, they are the favorites for Roki Sasaki.
Yep.
At least around baseball. That's considered.
It's wild. It's already like a done deal.
It is considered like overwhelming now. I still think the Padres are in it and will be a player for it. But all the reports are that Roki Sasaki likely is going to be posted to come over. And again, it's not about money because he's under 25. It's simply the international signing bonus. So it's more like college recruiting,
right?
Than pro recruiting.
It's like NIL money, basically.
He's getting NIL money, but he's
it.
really trying to pick the best school for him that he thinks is going to be the right fit for the next 6 seasons. Because once he signs, he'll be locked in for 6 years of control as a pitcher with his new organization. And
you have benefits to both. And if it's the West Coast he wants to be on, and we don't know that that's the case at all, but we know he's close with Yu Darvish. We know that he knows A.J. Preller. A.J. Preller's known him for many years. It's just dependent on, if he looks at that and says, yeah, I want the easiest path to a championship. I know a couple of the guys on the squad. Yeah, he's going to be a Dodger.
Take your Padres fandom out of it if you can. And I'm not sure I can either, but if Roki Sasaki goes to the Dodgers, and, I've seen Eric Hosmer tweeting about this, Dodgers creating a super team, a dynasty.
Don't they do that every year?
Well, they try, but is that good for baseball or bad for baseball? To have a true, super team that is an overwhelming favorite to win the World Series.
Aren't they an overwhelming favorite almost every year?
All right, well, let's say they win a couple. Let's say they win the next two or three. Yeah, they have a run of 3 or 4 in a row. Again, we would hate it as Padres fans.
Sure, it'd be terrible.
Is that good or bad for baseball? If the Dodgers become a super team and win multiple World Series, 4 out of the next 5, 6 out of the next 8, and go on a run like the Yankees did in the late 90s and early 2000s. Good for the sport or bad for the sport?
How'd you guys feel in the 90s about the Yankees?
See, now...
How'd you feel?
I felt
great.
I thought it was okay for baseball. I thought it really
didn't bother me.
Drove some interest. I know. And the Padres even were one of the teams that, was buzzsawed by that Yankees team.
They were the evil empire.
Sure.
But regardless of who your team was, you did not like that.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it was bad for baseball that they were good.
I really didn't either. And again, my argument back then to Red Sox fans that I would fist fight in middle school was, I'm sorry that your owner doesn't spend money on your team. I'm sorry. Don't be mad. Don't be mad at me. Be mad at him. He's the one that pockets the lion's share of the rake. Spend money on your team. Go get good players. Try to win as many games as you can. So yeah, it's.
But if they're not really challenged ever,
I know.
I don't know if that's exciting or entertaining. I mean, what's been really entertaining is see the Padres, rise up, fight and challenge the Dodgers, beat them in 2022, push them to the limit in 2024. If the Dodgers are truly so vastly superior, the only thing that anyone can hope for is that, well, it's the playoffs and it's the randomness in baseball.
David v. Goliath, yeah.
That they could lose a short series, and so that's your only chance, really, to take down the Dodgers for the next 8 years.
Look, taking your Padres hat off. You saw the ratings for the World Series. They were through the roof and better than ever, and they beat Monday Night Football. That makes me happy. I don't care who the participants are. That made me happy, and that's good for baseball ultimately. But, look, I think there's a bigger issue coming in baseball that we haven't really talked about yet, but it's, if you put your ear to the ground, it's what you're hearing the most about. And it's a potential work stoppage coming up after next season. And that's what has got me. What the Dodgers do in free agency, yeah, I'm interested, right? And I'm going, okay, this could get pretty crazy if you add Max Fried and Juan Soto and everybody else. And yeah, you're going to have a super team and you're going to be tough to beat. You still got to win the games. The work stoppage potentially coming down the pike is what really makes me stay up at night, not what the Dodgers are doing.
We can discuss that further as we go on. We're going to take a quick timeout, check of traffic. More Bennett Woods coming up. Don't go away. Talk more about Mike Shilt's contract extension and what you now think is the next move for the San Diego Padres coming up here.
I know what it better be.
On 97.3 The Fan.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
All right, Mike Shildt is extended, and we know what Woods wants to be the next move for the San Diego Padres. So just go ahead, say it again for everyone in the back. Hasn't heard it.
One Ruben Niebla. Got to get that done. And the word around the campfire is that the coaching staff is going to be smoothed out and sorted out here in the next few days.
Have you been toasting marshmallows without me around the campfire?
Never.
Okay.
I don't even like campfires, as you know. I don't like the smell. I don't like the smoky smell at all.
You always have to sit upwind.
Yeah, but
because you don't want it blowing right in your face.
You say that, but then you just reek of campfire for days and days. You can't get it out of your nose. So my metaphorical campfire, yeah. It looks like they're going to, at least that's the report I saw yesterday, that they're going to, get the rest of the coaching staff.
And I would think that Mike Shilt's stability makes that move even more likely to get done. No question marks going forward. I've heard nothing but good things about the relationship between Mike Shildt and Ruben Niebla.
Sure.
So you got him in the fold. If there was any thought that Ruben might go anywhere else, he probably goes, all right, but looks like a pretty good situation. Wouldn't be stunned if he got, 3-year deal as well that keeps him tied with Mike Shildt with the San Diego Padres. Obviously, as a pitching coach, you always have the opt-out if you get offered another job as a manager somewhere else, and he certainly is entitled to that. But, yeah, I would think it's not just a one-year deal. Give him a multi-year deal. Give him a little security. He's definitely earned that with the job that he has done as pitching coach for the Padres.
No question, man. We got a good one. Let's try to keep him here. And the guys that are here love pitching for him. The guys that pitched for him before would like to pitch for him again.
Kevin Acee wrote in the Union Tribune last night talking about the Mike Shildt extension. He said the team has been working on contracts for most of its baseball operations employees and some members of the coaching staff. Those deals, including one for pitching coach Ruben Niebla, are expected to come to be completed in the coming days.
Good.
So when A.J. Preller said the next 2 weeks we're going to be working on those things, he indeed was.
He was.
At least working on the manager and the coaching staff over this 2-week period.
You asked an interesting question before we came back, and it was, is the Dodgers putting together a super team, or any team doing it? The Yankees or the Mets? The Mets are really going to be a team in consideration for looking to put together a super team as well. It would not surprise me to see Juan Soto hitting second or third in Queens next year. Steve Cohen has the money. He's enamored with Juan Soto. Why wouldn't you be?
Would that be a super team, though?
Well, no, but I mean, he wouldn't stop there. Steve Cohen wants a winner in New York.
I've seen the pushback on that, though, that once he hired David Stearns, the former Milwaukee Brewers GM and executive, that they're not going down the spend trajectory. You don't hire David Stearns and then go, I know your skill set is doing more with less and putting together great teams, but we want you to just spend.
I think you missed the point there. His skill set is not doing more with less. His skill set is evaluating really good players. And now you have a guy that can evaluate really good players and has money to spend on them if he so desires them. Remember, A.J. Preller had the shackles taken off a couple of years, right? By Peter Seidler. It was like, go get what you need to get, right? Go do what you need to do.
Wasn't necessarily A.J. at his best, though.
Yeah, absolutely right.
We saw A.J. at his best when the shackles kind of went back on.
Of course. And so I do think the Mets are going to be in contention for every free agent that the Dodgers are going to be in, or any other team, the Yankees, whatever. But, I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat say it's not fair. It's not fair that the Dodgers do it. I think the only thing that's not fair, and not fair is something I'm trying to get out of my kids' vernacular. Bo says it all the time, and I'm constantly on it. It's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair. Well, guess what, buddy? Welcome to the planet. Get a helmet, and you're going to find more often than not things aren't fair, and you have to kind of find a way. You're not going to fold up the tents and just give up because it's not fair. The one thing that you can look at is the TV deal, right? The TV deal that's unequivocally unfair. $350 million before you even sell a ticket or a hot dog is not fair. Now, what I will give them credit for is they put that money back into their team. They absolutely do. A lot of guys don't. A lot of guys get revenue sharing. It goes right into their pocket. A lot of guys get TV money. It goes right into their pocket. So I can't really complain about a team investing in its team.
You mentioned a potential work stoppage next year, which would, of course, be horrifically bad for the sport. But I will die on the hill that it's better in the NFL and the NBA with fixed salary caps, but also every team has to spend that much money. That there has to be a mechanism that forces teams like the A's to spend more money and the Rays to spend more money. There has to be the salary floor. But with that, there also has to be a kind of a cap as well.
No player ever is going to go, yeah, sounds good. I'm in.
And I get that. And I generally am pro player, but I'm also pro sport of baseball.
Sure.
And I'm pro fan.
Who?
And I think for the fans, the best version of baseball has every team spending more, but reins in the Mets and the Dodgers and the Yankees from just bludgeoning and collecting all kinds of stars and keeping them off of other teams. The NBA is great because so many teams have stars now. So many teams have stars. It makes for a great league. Wouldn't it be
does,
great?
But there's 12 guys, like it's 12 as opposed to 7,000.
I thought about that when you originally asked the question about super teams, and I thought about like the NBA and how, the Bulls and the Lakers of the 90s and the 2000s, they had Shaq and Kobe. They had Jordan and Pippen, and then a lot of great role players.
Yeah.
But then the Celtics came along and had Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen.
Right.
That was like the first super team.
And then you had
Bosh, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and LeBron.
I mean, Bosh gets in there, yeah.
he was at the
good.
time. He was
really
an
good.
elite player.
He was.
And then you had the war. Like now, every team was like, "Well, this is
We gotta
the
have
new
3.
model.
Right.
You have to have a big 3
Yep.
to even compete." And now you're looking around, and every team, it seems like, has at least one all-star, one superstar,
Yep.
maybe 2, maybe even 3. They did kind of change the game. Kind of changed with the trend, but it's a little bit apples and oranges.
It is.
comparing
It
baseball to
is.
basketball.
It
I get
is.
that.
I think in baseball, you're always going to win on the margins with some depth by putting together good rosters. You see it. The teams that get production from the bottom of their lineup, that have good bullpens, you can make the playoffs. The Milwaukee Brewers,
you can win the World
you can
Series
win the World
now
Series.
with 2 starting pitchers. You can do it. It's
But
been done.
For the game to be at its healthiest, I do think it requires the teams like the Rockies, they have to put more into their product.
Yes.
And the teams like the Mets and the Dodgers and the Yankees have to be put into check a little bit more.
Listen,
that's just
again,
my belief of the best thing for baseball.
Spend till your heart's content. But the deferrals and stuff like that, the workarounds, the loopholes, and again, nothing illegal, nothing shady about it. Nothing. There's not one thing the Dodgers did wrong there. You have to have the player that's willing to do it, and they had him. He knew he was going to make $100 million in endorsements. He doesn't care.
Do you think maybe if we see another one of those, maybe not obviously 600 plus million
Right.
in deferrals or whatever, but another interesting contract that probably wouldn't have come to fruition without the deferrals, if that happens again, or even maybe if it doesn't happen again, do you think that will be a point of contention in the labor negotiations
Potentially.
that we just alluded to?
Potentially. I mean, again, they're going to get their money. So I think the players are like, I mean, you can doesn't matter when you get paid as long as you get paid.
That's tough because I don't think it's going to be an issue that either side is willing to really give up a ton to get done.
Right.
It's like, oh, all right, deferrals. I mean, I don't like them, but that's not a negotiating chip that I'm going to, okay, we'll give you this if you take out deferrals.
Right.
I just don't know that that's really going to be a hot topic when it comes to collective bargaining agreement talks.
But what is the owners are going to want to not spend as much money, and the players are going to want more money. That's what the work stoppage is going to be about. And it's coming. I mean, it's coming. They have a year, but can they get it? Can they get it figured out before then? When do they even go to the table?
I just always thought there must be a way. If the Rockies are spending $80 million and the Yankees are spending $300 million, if you make the Rockies spend at least $150 million and you limit the Yankees to $250 million, ultimately more is being spent on the players overall, even though you're checking in the top teams. There's got to be a way that you both create more competitive balance, but don't just take money away from the players at the top
you know
end.
what their argument is? There's plenty of competitive balance. We've had a different World Series winner every year for the last 20 years. That's what they'll tell you. That's what the players will tell you. Yeah, there's plenty of parity. We're good. We're good. We've conceded this. We've conceded that. We're not conceding to a salary cap. We're just not going to. Look at the parity in baseball. The Rangers, the Dodgers, and on the Astros, and on we go. Houston. I mean, all kinds of teams can win the World Series. Kansas City did it. I just don't think they're going to give an inch. Do you? I don't. Why would you? Why would you limit your earnings potential?
Probably not. But I don't see a lot of outrage that LeBron only makes $60 million a year when he really should be making a ton more.
Right.
Doesn't seem to hurt basketball that much that they have reined in the very top end salaries in order to create a more balanced playing field with everybody.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a fan of players getting their bags for sure. But, at some point, it's gonna pop, right? It can't go on this way forever. Juan Soto's the next guy. He's gonna get $700 million, and then what's the next guy? 800? What's Bo Woods gonna make? $100 billion? Like, what's the deal? When's it gonna pop?
I mean, in some ways, it's kind of crazy that baseball has such large salaries.
I know.
When we just talked about it. The reason why there's so much competitive balance is that you have to have good 7, 8, 9 hitters.
Right.
You have to have good bullpens. Yet the more you pay the stars, the less you have for the rest of those guys.
Correct.
No matter what, there is a budget. Every team has one eventually. There's only going to be so much spent, whether it's $30 billion is spent on salaries, whatever. that number will be divided. And the more that the stars get, the less that the other players get. There's a fixed pot, and it goes to the players. And the more Juan Soto and Shohei Ohtani get, the less everybody else gets. But they can only bat once out of every 9 times.
That's true.
You can't put the ball in. All right, you know what? You're making the money, so
you're hitting.
You've got the ball coming down the stretch here. We're gonna
You're hitting
you're
every
taking the last
AB.
9 shots of the game. You're batting the last 7 times in this game because we're paying you for that. You can say that in basketball.
You can.
You can put the ball in the quarterback's hands and say you're either winning this game or losing this game. But you can't tell Shohei Ohtani.
You're up
hey,
again.
We're paying you all this money and you're only batting once every 9 times.
You're up again.
Come on, man. You're killing us here. We need you up at least 4 or 5 times every trip through the order.
Yeah.
Doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Why do they get so much when they can't impact the team as much as other sports?
It's true.
All right, we'll take a timeout.
I mean, we know plenty of people that were connected to the last labor thing, and now we'll do my due diligence and talk to them about how serious this is. But I'm hearing tons of whispers from people in the game saying, brace yourselves now. Get your bits in order, right? Get your Paulie and Ben, get your bits ready because there may not be baseball next year, not this season, the next.
If you've got any thoughts, you can comment in our YouTube stream, on our chat, on our social media channels at Ben and Woods.
That lockout just a couple years ago that we had
brutal, man.
Started, I want to say like mid-November.
Yeah.
Like shortly after the World Series, and we had less than nothing to talk about as far as baseball goes until mid to late March.
Yeah.
Whenever
it
ended.
was some lean times for your Ben and Woods crew.
We literally it ended, call it noon on a Tuesday or whatever. We had to be ready to go to spring training like that weekend.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh
man,
God, awful.
All right, still to come, Roundel Report, new college, the first college football playoff rankings
Indeed.
out. Talk about that coming up as well on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. All right, Ruben Niebla seems to be your next target. What about player-wise, though? What's the next order of business for A.J. Preller this offseason? He's going to wrap up those GM meetings in the next 24 hours or so, and then you really do get into the business of reconstructing the roster for 2025.
So fun. I love it.
And, ultimately, he's going to, as every team does, he'll have a person in every position. He will fill out a pitching rotation. How good it looks, at spring training will be up for debate, but he will get it done. The question is, where are the first priorities this offseason? And we can talk about that after a quick check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Well, guys, they put out that trash truck fire on Hamashaw Road near the 94, but still going to find little activity around that as they do some mop-up. Now we're getting reports of a possible brush fire very close to that. This is along the 94 at Hamashaw, so not sure what's up with that. Also reports of a possible brush fire northbound side of the 163 past the 8, smoke visible from the right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So while you need starting pitching and you need to figure out what you're going to do in left field with Jurickson Profar as a free agent, and there's a question about your shortstop going forward, to me, the first order of business, player-wise this offseason, is figuring out who's going to be your starting catcher next year.
Really?
And if that's re-signing Kyle Higashioka or making a trade of some sort, I just feel like it's the position that has the least options out there, and you can't wait around all off season and go, you know what? If we don't have this done, late January, there'll be someone out there that we can sign. Not really, not necessarily. If you wait until January, you can find a left fielder. If you wait until January, there will still be pitchers on the market. You may not love them, but they will be there. You can fill out a starting rotation. If you wait until January, it may be Luis Camposano and Brett Sullivan who are your catchers coming to spring training, and I don't know that you feel good if that's the case. So if I'm like, what is the most likely move to be made early in the offseason by the Padres? I think it might be signing Kyle Higashioka to a contract.
Also,
could be the first move of the year.
Yeah, and it's also not one of those that's going to, oh, my God, I can't believe we just spent all this money on this player. Right?
Which is usually AJ's first move is one that doesn't blow your hair back.
Yeah,
it's like,
but it's like a solid,
solid.
Yeah, solid move, needed it, whatever. Hey, we just stroked a check for $10 million for 2 years or $12 million for 2 years, whatever it may be. So sure, no problem. I can get behind that, Benny. That's a good point you make. There's not an unlimited amount of serviceable big league catchers, especially one that is as beloved as Kyle Higashioka is in and out of the room.
Might not be Higgy. I mean, every year for the last few years, AJ has seemingly found another catcher, whether it was Gary Sanchez in the middle of the season or Jorge Alfaro. He's found those, backup catchers. We talked about Travis d'Arnaud now being available. Maybe that's the guy. I don't know that it's...
I was just going to make that point. It doesn't concern me at all because the track record speaks for itself.
Sure.
He just finds these guys that are pretty more than serviceable catchers, but I think you're right. It is important to lock that down, that position here pretty soon.
Yeah, I don't think specifically you have to target just like one guy and go all in. But I do think you need to take care of it and on the earlier side rather than just waiting and seeing what's left by the time it's, almost Peoria season to show up at spring training next year.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think starting pitching is going to be at a premium. I don't know how in they're going to be at the top levels of free agent starters. I saw some, every publication does hey, here's the 50 best free agents and their potential landing spots. And there was one sent out the other day, and the only name that was linked to the Padres in this guy's list was the very bottom. It was Max Scherzer to the Padres. Okay, that'd be an odd 1 year deal, I would assume. Nothing more than 1 year.
About 3 years too late.
Knowing us, he'd have an opt out or several opt outs for the next 7 years. Opt in for $75 million, something ridiculous. We just go, what? How about just a 1 year deal? No opt ins, no opt outs, and everybody does their thing. But that was literally the only name. I'm scrolling through this one on CBS Sports. I mean, look, potential landing spots for literally every player is Mets, Dodgers, Red Sox.
And I see the same thing, but they can't take all the players.
No, you can't.
While they have the money to do so,
you
still
have
have
them
to
all.
work. You still have to operate under a 26-man roster, a 40-man roster. You can't sign every free agent. There is a ton of players out there, and they will be distributed among a number of teams. It won't simply be the Dodgers, Yankees, and Mets signing everybody this offseason. And they'll find if players don't end up on one of those three teams, guess what? You're going to have to sign somewhere else, and probably for a little less money than you were hoping to sign for.
Yeah.
And there will be guys available, and of those guys who are available, it's up to A.J. Preller to figure out which ones are about to have a good season and which ones aren't, and stay away from the latter and sign the former. That's his job this offseason. Not going to be at the top of the market, for the Juan Sotos of the world. We get that. I understand that. I'm okay with that. You just have to be ready to jump in and get the right guys when they do become available.
And I do wonder, if it's in the budget or even the idea of bringing back the majority of the guys that were here through this run last year. And I'm talking about the Higgies, the David Peraltas, the Donovan Solanos. Those guys are free agents as well. I think there's interest from them. They loved playing both Higgy, Solano, Arise, and Peralta all sent lovely tweets or Instagram posts about, man, that was phenomenal. I loved it. Thank you, San Diego. You guys were electric. Best crowd in baseball, blah, 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 blah. Now, that could be something that potential free agents just do. Probably a smart business decision, but I'm not mad at that at all.
Well, it's weird because in a lot of situations, a lot of years, I'd be like, no, you can't just run it back.
Right.
But we all agree, right? Like that was the best roster maybe the Padres have ever assembled.
Yeah.
And they absolutely had a chance to win the World Series, so why not? Bring the majority of those guys.
Yeah, none of
back?
those guys are going to crush you financially. Not crush you.
Get a little creative on the trade market like AJ always does.
For sure.
He had to cut $90 million in payroll last year, and he still went out and traded for Dylan Cease and Luis Arraez.
Yeah.
Who knows what he's going to do on March 20th this year?
Yeah, for sure.
Mike, who's been very active in our chat this morning, Mike says, sign Higgy, King, Pro, and Arraez. They're San Diego people. I don't think, I could be wrong about this, but the extensions for guys like King and Arraez, I don't think are the first order of business this offseason. Those are something that I wouldn't be surprised if they do get done. That's like during spring training next year. We've seen a number of those, like Manny's, that don't get done until they actually show back up at spring training. That gives a little urgency. The season's about to start. You don't really want to negotiate during the last season of that contract, so you want to get it done before the season starts. But right now, it kind of is in the Padres' best interest to know how things play out before they start committing multiple years and, extra millions of dollars. The clock isn't really ticking right now.
No, it's really not.
It doesn't start ticking until at least you get close to the start of next season.
And the only guys that it's really ticking on are the guys that are, the free agents. If you're interested in bringing Donovan Solano back, the clock's ticking because other teams, I just saw him linked to the Angels and a couple, because the guy still mashes lefties. He's very valuable. He's going to be 37 years old, but still valuable guy. He's not going to break the bank. Yeah, man, bring him back. Use him as you used him this year.
Manny kind of artificially created a deadline when he was going into his last year before his opt-out. And, his agent said, hey, we want to get this. Remember, he kind of put a clock on it. Says, hey, if we don't get it done by then I'm just playing it out the rest of this year, and that's it.
Yeah, I do the same thing to Adam every single year when it's contract
that can also
time.
just be lip service, too, because remember, Joe Musgrove did the same thing. It was mid-season. It was like July or August. He said, I don't, after this point in the season, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I only want to focus on the season and the playoff push. And I think it was after that deadline, he got his extension.
And Michael King's agent and Luis Arraez's agent can do the same thing, but they can't do it now. No one's going to go, yeah, if we don't get the deal done by November 27th, then I don't think we're going to talk about this after that. No, It only makes sense to do it, March 15th or whatever. We're getting, I want to focus on the season. Either we get this done now or not. You can kind of create an artificial deadline there. You can't create one at Thanksgiving, though. No one's gonna take that seriously. So I don't think there's a tremendous amount of urgency on those deals, although there might be by the time we get to February and March.
And we don't know what they know. We don't know what they want. We don't know what they value. We don't know who else they have their eyes on. AJ continues to surprise us every single year, and anybody the Padres have ever been linked to, they've never gotten. And conversely, somebody that you thought we'd never be linked to him, well, look who ends up a Padre.
Wouldn't it be fun to see AJ's board?
More than anything. Be incredible.
His off-season board.
Like in his phone. He has his notes in his phone. Be like, here's what I want.
Here are the different paths we can take. Yeah. Here are the players we can,
be great.
Then you'd have to keep it secret, though, which that would kill you.
Not for me. I'm good at keeping secrets.
You are pretty
I've
good
kept
at
all
keeping
his secrets. Yeah.
You're a confidant.
I am. Could be.
We'll come back. Ronald Report, college football playoff rankings, and more next. Got a little bit of new news coming out this morning from the general managers meeting. So welcome back. Ben and Woods, final hour here on a Wednesday. Annie and Elston coming up at 10 o'clock. Still have those tickets to Tom Segura that we're going to give away later this hour. But according to reports from San Antonio, the Los Angeles Angels have agreed to a one-year contract with longtime Chicago Cubs pitcher Kyle Hendricks. John Heyman reports about $3 million. Last remaining player from the Cubs' 2016 World Series team. Did not have a good season last year.
No.
5-12, 5.92 ERA, negative 1.6 WAR. But before that had been a very reliable, consistent innings eater type starter. He's going to be 35 next month.
So Scott Boras speaking as we speak here. He's got a couple little quotes that have already come out. We'll play the audio for you tomorrow. I'm sure Annie and Elston will have it, but he's always always good for a quip. But he did say the Mets, Ben, as we just talked about, are trying to win the World Series. They have been very clear about pursuing it aggressively through the free agent market, which lets Brian Cashman and the Yankees know, get ready to start a bidding war for Juan Soto's services in the city of New York. He also says that Astros free agent third baseman Alex Bregman will infuse a championship. He provides an infusion of championship blood. He's AB positive.
Oh, God.
Alex Bregman, AB positive.
The puns have
Here we
started.
go. It's like, most people, when they think about baseball season, they're like, oh, yeah, spring training's here. No, not for me. It's Scott Boras press conference talking about all of his goobery, stupid
Usually
puns.
that waits until the winter meetings. He's getting started early this year.
He's workshopping new material for the winter meetings. He's on a smaller tour.
We will definitely pull that audio for you probably tomorrow is my guess.
Yeah.
But we do have not really news at this point, but it's official from the San Diego Padres. Mike Shildt, 2-year contract extension.
Beautiful.
They have released the press release.
They've released the press release.
Released the press release. No, we've been talking about it all morning. It's now official. Mike Shildt said, "I'm honored to continue leading this team toward Peter Seidler's vision of bringing a World Series championship to San Diego. In collaboration with our players and coaching staff, we are committed to building on our success, serving our community in the city of San Diego, and delivering a winning team to our incredible and deserving fan base."
I would like to see it.
Do you think he actually said that, or someone wrote it and he just said that looks good? I'm always curious when it comes to these statements.
Do you think A.J. Preller actually said, "As Mike demonstrated this year, he has an unwavering commitment to winning and a unique set of skills that got our group to perform at a high level. He possesses a true love for this team and the game of baseball, and I'm thrilled to continue to work together with Mike to bring a championship to the city of San Diego."
Makes him sound like Liam Neeson in
Very
Taken. He's got a
particular
unique set of skills.
A unique set of skills. He actually
Mike
said
Shildt
it.
has a very particular set of skills.
That is so good. You're about to be taken. Kimmy, pay
I will
attention.
find you.
Again, did AJ actually say that, or was it just written down and he just gave it the old
No, you need
thumbs up?
You need a quote. And so you just text over a quote to PR. They write it up, and you're good to go.
But they never sound like the person actually sounds when they're talking.
It's true.
Because you write differently than you speak.
You absolutely should. A lot of people don't.
That's true.
You don't.
I'm always taught to write in a conversational manner, especially for television.
Sure.
Because it's eventually going to be spoken.
Right.
But when you're just writing for a press release, you don't necessarily do that.
Yeah. Well, all right. So it is officially official. Be anxiously awaiting the one for Ruben Niebla next. I'll give that a retweet.
Now, in the past, I will just warn you, I hope that this is not the case. But in the past, the Padres just wait on their coaching staff announcements until like the day before spring training.
That's true.
And let everybody know, oh, and here are our coaches for this season.
That's a good point.
I don't know that we're going to be satisfied with not knowing about Ruben Niebla's status for months. You might have to let us know before, February 13th, that here's the coaching staff. They release all the coaches and the minor league managers and everything, and it's one big release, and it usually is like the day before spring training.
Now, Paulie, I just saw 97.3 The Fan tweeted out. Did you make that graphic?
I haven't made any graphics.
Okay, that's an Adam graphic. It's very verbose in this graphic. This is breaking news. The Padres and manager Mike Shildt have agreed on a 2-year contract extension that will keep Shildt in brown and gold through the 2027 season. Shildt guided the Padres to 93 wins in his first season as manager, the second most in franchise history.
I'm almost sorry that Scott Boras isn't Mike Shilt's agent, so he could do all the Shildt puns.
Trying to think.
It's almost too easy.
Holy Shildt.
I'm trying to think of a really good one. The Shildt. Well, we've done the Shildt hits the fan. I don't know. I'll mull it over. Paulie, take it away.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right, gentlemen. How are we doing?
Great.
Good. We will start off in college football. We did get the first college football playoff rankings that always happen towards the end of the season. You get the AP poll every week, and now every Tuesday night, ESPN, they'll have their big release show and give you the rankings, and it doesn't usually matter early on. It all matters how you finish
I
in
disagree.
the rankings. But it was a little bit different this year. We have expanded, obviously, to a 12-team college football playoff format. And I was looking at the rankings, and no real surprises there at the top. Oregon, number 1. Ohio State, Georgia, Miami. Those are your top 4. 4 teams get buys, but it's not the top 4 teams. The top 4 conference champions are going to get buys. So the way it would work out if the college football playoffs ended with this set of rankings today, Oregon would win the Big Ten. They would get a bye. Georgia won the SEC. They would get a bye even though they're 3rd. Miami, 4th. They won the ACC. They would get a bye. And then BYU, as the winner of the Big 12, even though they're ranked 9th in the rankings, they would get a first-round bye.
Interesting.
All right, no one's won anything yet, so that really doesn't matter. That's the part that doesn't matter. What does matter, though, is the first rankings do establish a pecking order.
Sure.
And while teams will enter and exit based on wins and losses, if, Oregon's ahead of Georgia right now, if both teams keep winning, I would imagine Oregon will remain ahead of Georgia all the way
Georgia jump them
through.
Yeah.
How do you jump a team if they just keep on winning? So I do think these first set of rankings have some significance.
The first one usually does matter. Next week's, I don't know that it gets a huge mention unless there's a big shakeup.
To me, though, it's actually the bottom end of the rankings that are really important because, only the top 12 teams get in.
Yep.
Technically, the top 11 plus the best non-Power 4 team. Now, in this case, Boise State is number 12. So they're saying that even if Boise State wasn't in the Power 4 or was in the Power 4, they'd still be in because they'd be at number 12 right now. They'd be the last team in. But I think it's the other bubble teams that are interesting. Notre Dame and Alabama are both on the right side of the bubble at 10 and 11. SMU and Texas A&M are the teams just on the wrong side of the bubble at 13 and 14. And those are where the real mad scramble is going to be at the end of the season, where if there's controversy, it'll be in the final couple of teams that do get in and don't get in.
Yeah, there's look, you look at this right now, and they're still, like Indiana, such an interesting story this year. They're sitting at number 8, but they have the 133rd strength of schedule right now. Now, what they're doing, you can only play the teams on your schedule. They're beating their opponents by an average of like 33 points a game.
Yeah.
But they still get Ohio State, and they still get...
So if they lose to Ohio State,
do they play
they
Oregon?
won't even get to the Big Ten championship game.
Right.
It would then be like Ohio State against Oregon again in a rematch for the Big Ten championship. And Indiana is going to be a very interesting case. They're going to be a one-loss team, but the only time they ever played anybody, they lost to them. And everyone's going to go, well, how good are they? We have no idea. They didn't even get a chance to play for the Big Ten championship. They didn't win their conference. They didn't get to their conference title game. But they won all the rest of their games convincingly until they ran into Ohio State.
And they got Michigan this weekend, and then November 23rd at Ohio State, which is.
But Michigan's not that good.
Nope, they're not.
Yeah, Indiana's a weird.
It's a weird scene.
Crazy. Obviously, a lot's going to change between now and then. We're just going off of if the season ended today or whatever. I think it's crazy how Boise State, who just gets in at number 12, their first game would be against the number 2 seeded Ohio State because Ohio State doesn't get the bye. Oregon gets the bye in the Big Ten. It's kind of weird how it worked out.
But at least that'll be decided on the field.
Sure.
Oregon and Ohio State may play again, and the winner will get the bye. The loser doesn't. No one's going to complain about that.
Well, we all wanted expansion, and we were looking at a lot of chaos here over the next few weeks.
Going back to the Scott Boras puns, I think Zach in the chat has nailed it. Scott Boras takes the microphone and says, some very special Shildt will be happening in San Diego. The Padres have extended the skipper for another 3 years.
Some good Shildt going on
Shildt
in
happening.
San Diego.
It's good Shildt.
That's some good Shildt.
All right. Look, relatively slow sports day yesterday. A lot happening elsewhere around
I need
the
those
world.
NHL scores, Paul. ASAP.
No NBA games. Pretty slow NFL day.
I saw some Ball State football was on last night.
In baseball, though, just a very minor note, but we haven't talked about it yet. The A's are obviously going to be in Sacramento for the next 3 years.
Yep.
But they have said that they would like to only be known as the Athletics. They will not be called the Sacramento Athletics. You remember when the schedule...
A's, they only want to be known as the Athletics.
Or
the A's.
But not the Sacramento A's.
Or
the Sacramento
the
Athletics.
score bug, when you play the A's, will just say ATH.
AF.
It won't say SAC.
AF? Get off your AF. Let's do some math.
Yeah. And I remember in August, or maybe even July, whenever the schedule for next year came out, I'm looking at, I think it was like April or something. I'm like, ATH. I'm like, who the hell's that?
Athletic team. Yeah, just an athletic team.
Like, we just played in Seoul. Are they sending us to Athens?
Athens, Greece. Yeah,
for 3 games.
Yeah,
who are we playing?
They're just going to be
No, so they sent out a list of what was it called? Brand transition guidelines that the club sent out, and one of them was, "Hey, we prefer to be called the Athletics or the A's."
So they don't want SAC in there.
Correct.
They're just because they don't
so their
want to be there.
choices were either SAC.
Yeah,
or
SAC
AF.
or AF. It's incredible.
They went with AF.
Yeah, I'm going to avoid SAC too.
I would have chose AF.
So
over
as
SAC.
our guest last week, Craig Calcaterra, pointed out, you're under no obligation to do what the A's request. If you want to call them Sacramento, there's no law that prevents you from
the
doing
team
so.
formerly known as the Oakland A's.
If you're a writer and you're writing a story, you can call them the Sacramento Athletics or the Sacramento A's all you want, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Just their personal preference.
I'm always torn. I could have continued to call Qualcomm Stadium Jack Murphy Stadium. I don't have to go by what the sponsor is. I can do what I want. There's no law preventing me from doing it, but I generally do play ball because, the way sports works is they sell sponsorships, and that's how kind of you fund teams. And so when I write down, where's the game being played? Oh, it's at Qualcomm Stadium. Fine. You've got me there. It's at Petco Park. We don't have to say Petco Park. We just say, hey, it's the downtown ballpark in San Diego where the Padres play. We don't have to
Call
say
it Ben Woods Ballpark if you want.
Petco Park.
It'd be weird if you called Snapdragon the Q or Qualcomm.
Yeah.
That would be weird.
But you ran into people all the time. You either call it the Q or Jack Murphy Stadium. You knew what they were talking about.
Adam says they can control who comes to the games media-wise. Yeah, but, for guys like Craig Calcaterra, who write a newsletter, he's not going to care at all. Yeah, I this is a good point. Zach says, true. Why do I hate when people say Padres Stadium? I do as well. I can't stand that. Going to go down to Padres Stadium. No.
I don't know that I've ever heard anyone say that.
I hear people say it all the time.
I've heard it too.
I've seen it tweeted. I'm like, what? Padres Stadium is blah, blah,
I don't
blah.
really like when any baseball facilities or stadiums, there's Dodger Stadium and Yankee Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that baseball should be played in a ballpark.
Ooh, yeah.
or at a field.
Yeah.
Not in a stadium.
I like the name Ford Field. Always like that. Ford
Where
Field.
the
Playing
Detroit Lions play.
Playing at Ford Field. It's dope.
All right, and then finally,
That's both a sponsor and kind of a logical
like
team one.
Of course.
had some news in, I guess, sports media landscape yesterday.
Oh, you're doing this one.
Yeah. Why wouldn't we?
It's true.
Everybody, we talk about Skip Bayless all the time, and probably 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday, our old pal Woods texted Ben and I.
I thought we were just going to keep that in the group chat.
Nah, nobody's listening. Don't worry, we'll just talk about it. It's just 3 of us.
It's just the 3 of us here, just shooting the breeze.
He told us, Skip Bayless's X account has been hacked.
Got hacked by a crypto.
Yeah, and it was weird because I went back a couple of times and the tweets had changed. I don't know how you do that. Like it said tweets that I originally saw that were posted by the hacker were then removed and replaced with other crypto. You've seen this happen before. High profile account gets hacked and it's like, hey, go to my buy my crypto or whatever. But that it wasn't just about crypto that at real Skip Bayless the hacker was tweeting or posting. But I thought I would enlist the help of Ben Higgins to maybe read through a few of them.
You have the most discretion on this show.
But by the way, I just went and looked a few minutes ago. It still has not been solved. It's still all the tweets the hacker put out there are still up on real Skip Bayless and his 3+ million followers.
Do I have a choice here?
Nope.
Because there's I've got a couple of issues here. First of all, don't really want to reward the hacker for bad behavior.
He's not listening right now.
You're just delivering the news.
And also, this is really gnarly. I mean, this is worse than any Ben Reed's raps.
You're just delivering the
lyrics.
News. You're a journalist.
And got no Twitter staff to help him. This is crazy. Nobody gives a F about Skip. C word that rhymes with the F word, Bayless. L-O-L-O-L-O-L-O-L-O.
C
word that rhymes with the F word.
I think you can
Cuck?
say that.
You can say cuck.
I don't want to.
Say it.
No.
Say it.
Come on.
Cuke. Like cucumber?
It's not how it's pronounced.
Say cuck.
Skip is cheating on his wife, and he likes being downgraded. He knows I'm telling the truth.
Oh, my God.
Tell me, Skip, is it funny now that you're the one getting laughed at? And
this guy he was like a big LeBron.
and we don't know any of this is true.
He was ending a lot of posts with hashtag LeBron James.
He's a big LeBron guy. And
Skip,
LeBron and Skip
notorious hater.
He's a hater of LeBron James.
Are we done?
I think there's
Did
one
he
more
really
on
say
there.
an S word that rhymes with the F word?
No, C word.
Sorry.
Well, there's
C
another
word.
C word that doesn't rhyme with the F word.
Correct.
So I was trying to delineate between the
Cuck
two.
is not a bad word.
I don't like it, though.
Don't you?
You want me to read the last one, too?
Sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've gone this
Skip,
far.
get the Twitter back. I'm bored already. You got minutes to take it back, or I'm leaking your chastity cage fetish DMs.
Oh, my God. God.
Dang, dude.
All right.
This guy was posting
Fine.
screenshots of
I saw
Skip's alleged bookmarks.
I have a question. Why bookmark something on Twitter when there are, I don't know, 75,000 other sites to go? Why would you get
that kind of
why would you get
content?
that content from there? It's like when somebody says,
"Hey, mark my words. The Royals are going to win the World Series this year." You can bookmark those.
I've got a billion
because you come back for the receipts, but
they're all Dodger. But it's not. I don't go back for that.
Like bookmarking boobies or something.
I've accidentally bookmarked lots of tweets.
The old accidental bookmark. Let me see your bookmarks right now.
I have
Give
no
me your
idea.
phone.
I really don't bookmark anything, so let me see.
Let's see.
Bookmarks. All right, let's read my bookmarks.
Here we go. This is the content.
There's one from Ryan Cohen.
Pause. We got to take a break. We're going to come back and look at your bookmarks. We're going to do it in deep dive on it. Don't say anything else. We'll be right back. It's
There's not much there.
All right, here we go. Black 17 on. That is my number. All right, hit me.
Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
Little programming update with the news from the Padres that Mike Shildt has officially agreed to a 2-year contract extension. The team is holding a Zoom news conference with A.J. Preller and Mike Shildt at noon today, and you will be able to hear that live here on 97.3 The Fan during the Annie and Elston program. So make lunch plans to join Mike Shildt and A.J. Preller for their news conference. And then tomorrow, Mike Shildt will join us at 9 a.m. to discuss his new contract extension and his future with the San Diego Padres.
What's up, my dudes? How you doing?
Wrap up the season. We haven't talked to him in a few weeks.
Good morning.
So we will get a chance to recap everything with Mike Shildt tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and congratulate him on his new deal.
Yep. Haven't talked to him in forever. Talked to him about the playoffs, all that. Texted with him a little bit.
Saw him in L.A. at the Padres-Dodgers series.
Yeah.
But, we haven't talked to him in a while, so get a chance to catch up.
Tomorrow at what time?
9 a.m.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so you were asking me
I
about
want
my
to see your creepy
bookmarks, and I don't really use the bookmark function on Twitter, but I do, I guess like anybody, accidentally bookmark things. I think I actually did this one on purpose. This was from August 1st.
Let's see how creepy Ben
Tier
can
1
get.
Ryan Cohen.
Oh.
Had
Probably not that creepy, apparently.
a list of top 20 Padres Game of the Year rankings, and I thought, oh, that's cool. like the best comebacks, like number 1 comeback against the Cubs when they were down 8-0.
Yep, remember that one well.
Number 2, the Cease no-hitter.
Yeah.
Number 3, Jurickson Profar's walk-off versus the Nats. This was August, so there were obviously more games after that. Although I think most of the really dramatic games happened in the earlier part of the season for the Padres this last year.
Yeah, big time. Would have liked another dramatic game in the last one.
Yeah. The second one, this is weird. I don't even know who this is. Someone named Michael Harris. Coach M. Harris, 79, and it's a meme of Thanos from the Avengers saying, annual reminder that Thanos with human skin just looks like your offensive line coach. Don't remember seeing that.
You saw that.
Bookmarking it or any reason.
He's like, I got to bring.
So I'm just unbookmarking that one right now.
And
then my last
I need to
one.
save this for later.
My last one was bookmarked just a few minutes ago. This is from Shayna Rubin. Scott Boras on if he anticipates Blake Snell will have a different free agency experience this year. Quote, there's no doubt the Snelling salts created a lot of whiffs, and the market has definitely awakened.
You made that up.
I didn't. Oh, a lot of whiffs from the Snelling salts.
There we go.
The market has awakened.
The first one that got him was the Blake Snell.
Oh, Scott Boras, you are too much for me. I'm going to unbookmark that one right now.
I'm unbookmarking.
I'm keeping that one from Ryan Cohen, though.
I'm unbookmark. Why?
Well, I just want to relive. Sometimes I want to go back and relive the great wins.
So you're going to have one bookmark.
Yeah, that May win against the Cubs was badass from last year.
Fine, we probably aren't going to go. No, I'm going to keep that one just in case.
You're still going to keep it.
Yeah, we might need to refer back. Honestly, I mean, do you remember like the 20 best wins? Like I
can't remember. I can't remember yesterday. You know that.
Padres erased 5-run deficit in Atlanta and beat the Braves 6-5. Totally have forgotten about that game.
I'm deleting bookmarks like crazy.
I'm looking through.
I have thousands.
I don't really use my X account anymore. I'm logged into Ben and Woods right now, and I'm looking at the Ben and Woods bookmarks. I think these are all. Well, they're either one of you. I'm guessing it was Woods, but we do have this one bookmarked from October 15th, 2022.
Is it extra sweet because it was against the Dodgers?
What?
Is it extra sweet because it was against the Dodgers?
I don't think I'd ever really noticed his voice cracking on the first question.
Let's hear it again. It's a good one.
Is it extra sweet because it was against the Dodgers?
We don't play the first. There's two.
There's two.
We usually play the second
because
one.
Peter then said,
he leans in.
What are you saying?
I can't hear you.
Is it extra sweet because it was against the Dodgers?
What's a better moment than that for us?
It's as good as it gets.
It's as good. That's as good as audio that you will ever find.
Number one.
Is it extra sweet because it was against the Dodgers?
Number two.
Is it extra sweet because it was against the Dodgers?
Is there a way to get that tattooed on my body to where like you could come up and scan it and it would play the audio? Like I get the barcode and then you scan it with your QR code and then it plays from my arm. That's what I want.
I played number one. I played number two.
Put it on my urn when I die.
How about both of them together?
Is it extra sweet because it was against the Dodgers?
You've never done that before. Do it again.
Is it extra sweet because it was against the Dodgers?
It's like two twins. It's like a set of twins.
It's like two little robots asking the same question.
Is it extra sweet because it was against the Dodgers?
Like the Shining twins.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Holy crap. Why did we ever think of that before? That's absolutely incredible. One more time.
Extra sweet because it was against the Dodgers.
Oh, God. Hang on. Here's
Is it extra sweet because it was against the Dodgers? Is it extra sweet because it was against the Dodgers? Is it extra sweet because it was against the Dodgers?
Adam's like, that was 2 years ago.
Yes.
We're never gonna let it.
Yes,
I'm glad one of us bookmarked that. I wouldn't have. We probably wouldn't have found that today.
Oh my lord, dude.
Oh, man.
All right, it'll be extra sweet for you if you win a pair of tickets to see comedian Tom Segura live at Pechanga Arena this Friday night. This is your chance to win. Call in now. Fourth caller at 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973 is going to win the pair of tickets. Call in right now, and we'll come back. Final segment of Ben and Woods on the way.
Why it's so funny.
It's so good, dude.
Coming up next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Is it extra sweet because it's against the Dodgers?
Got one more Scott Boras pun for you.
Okay.
Just in. Boras asked about Pete Alonso. Quote, there's been a lot of talk about this being a bear market for first basemen, but for Pete's sake, it's the polar opposite.
For Pete's sake.
Pete's sake.
Oh, sorry about that. Everyone.
The polar bear.
Just smacked my microphone. Occupational hazard. Yeah, you'd think after the just atrocious offseason he had last year, I probably would have gone. I would have just said, "Hey, I'm not doing any bits this year.
It's all business.
I'm all business." he does his own.
Make a client happy, and then come back with your puns.
How about that? Let me get these guys signed, and then I'll have a plethora of funny jokes and bits to do for you after I get them the deals that they so deserve.
I mean, we've said it before. Scott Boras may, at least at one point, might have been the best in the world at his particular job.
Correct.
Like better than the best
soccer
dentist
player,
or whatever. You know what I mean? Like he was the absolute best.
One
at what
of
he
one.
Did.
One of one.
And he took some rare L's, and not just one. He took multiple L's. Guys leaving his agency. He had a rough 2023 and 24.
Oh, yeah.
The chat is talking about how we are very lucky to have a boss like Adam.
He loves it.
Who lets us make fun of him.
Is it extra sweet because it's against the Dodgers?
He loves it, though.
He is a good sport about it, which is appreciated.
I'd say we're all pretty good sports.
I think that is true.
Yeah. I mean, I just showed a diaper, so I don't want to hear it.
There is, and we
This
all
job's
know.
a lot more difficult.
We all know
it's
that
not as fun if you're not. If you can't just have fun.
If you can't have fun with it, it's not
I'm
fun
a pretty
at all.
good sport. We all know.
You're a great sport.
You're maybe the best sport.
Yeah, potentially.
And I do think that is very key, especially in this line of work. I've met and worked with other radio hosts who are not good sports.
You can't take yourself too seriously.
And it's tough. It can be tough. If you know someone else is going to be very sensitive about a comment and you're always having to be careful. But Adam doesn't treat us that way. He gives us the freedom to be us and have fun and hopefully take the tier ones along for the ride. And if sometimes he feels a little uncomfortable or embarrassed about it, then so be it. And we do appreciate that from Adam.
No question.
But I know not all bosses are like that, in radio or otherwise.
No.
But I would say the good ones mostly are.
Yeah.
So.
I let my kids bust my balls all the time. All the time.
Not all parents would.
No, because you can cross the lines. You know, if they tell you to shut up or something, you get to shut up. You're like, hey, I won't abide, but you can bust my balls. I don't mind. But Adam's, I'm a ball buster. That's what I do. And Adam gets it. Now, and he gets sometimes where he's like, hey, if you want to break my balls, listen to what I did today. And tells me a story about him in the parking lot. I'm like, oh, I didn't see it, so it's going to be hard for me to do it. I will bust your balls about you wanting me to bust your balls, though. That I will do. No, he's great. Yeah, people like the Adam content, certainly.
Do we have a winner for the Tom Segura tickets, Paulie?
We do, Derek.
Derek, congratulations. Enjoy that show on Friday night. We'll have some Real or Fake tomorrow. Another chance to win tickets tomorrow morning at 7:10.
Tomorrow's our last chance.
All right, last chance. So either
on Friday night.
Real or Fake winner, or we'll give them out to one more set of Tier 1s on Thursday so you can get to the show on Friday. All right, final check of traffic, and then wrapping things up with Ben and Woods here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Wrapping up our morning drive with a few problems here. Westbound King Freeway at Hamashaw. Collision tow truck is on scene. No details as to whether that's blocking lanes. Also, looks like they're having to shut down the Oceanside Boulevard on-ramp to northbound 5 to clear a crash. And an accident involving several vehicles, including a motorcycle, eastbound 78 past Nordall Road. 2 left lanes are blocked. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And again, programming note, A.J. Preller and Mike Shildt will speak to the media at noon today on Mike Shilt's 2-year contract extension, and we will carry that live during the Annie and Elston program coming up. I don't know. What would you ask? I mean, we're going to have Mike Shildt on tomorrow. Obviously, we'll recap the season and get his kind of thoughts on where the Padres stand looking ahead now that he's got some security and stability going forward. I'm just curious, are there any changes he'd like to make?
Sure.
From his first season to his second season now that he's had I would think after having a year another year in the organization and the first as manager, you learn some things along the way and, develop at least some alterations to what your plan was going forward.
Yeah, and look, I don't know how much you can actually plan right now till you know what your team looks like, but I think your overall philosophy stays the same. Keep the room healthy and good, and I think I want to ask him about, because I waited about a week to text him after the Dodgers game, and just to give it a little bit of air. Nobody wants to walk out of a game like that. Yu Darvish surrenders 2 solo shots and you lose 2-0 and you get 2 hits. Nobody wants to walk in their locker room and have some media hack. Like, hey, sorry, man, thanks for a great year. So I waited about a week and I said, hey, just wanted to give it a little air, and thanks for a great season. Looking forward to the next one. He was really nice and kind back, and I do think it would be interesting to just ask him where his head has been, since that happened. I mean, what is? We'll never know. We will never know what that's like to go back to your office after a game like that and then say goodbye to the players, whatever. I guess that night you get on a bus, you come back to San Diego. What's that walk from the bus to your room like? What's that like, laying in bed that night going, oh, my God, we got 2 hits tonight?
I don't think there's a lot of regrets, though.
No.
It's not like he had a bunch of other players he should have been playing instead of the ones that he put in there. Oh,
right.
if I had only started Tyler Wade and we had
Instead
put
of
Bryce
so-and-so.
Johnson on the playoff roster.
He didn't even. It's not like he managed a bad game.
No.
It's not like he left Darvish in too long
Right.
and he gave up a huge home run. Like,
no, 2 solo shots, man.
There's nothing to think back about and be like, man, I should have done that.
I said this earlier in the week or last week, and nobody likes hearing it, but it's so not a throwaway excuse for me when you say to your kids if you're coaching, to your grown-ups if you're coaching them, that's baseball. But I don't know if Buddy Black made it famous, but it just is the way that this game goes. It's just baseball sometimes. Sometimes baseball happens, and sometimes your team doesn't hit when they're supposed to hit. Sometimes you get
There is a
beat.
fine line, though, because
You can't say it about everything.
You have to control the controllables, to borrow a Sean Lewis expression. You have to put yourself in position to win.
Correct.
But you also have to accept the fact that you can't win them all, and there are some things that will kind of be out of your control that you couldn't do anything about.
And I'll tell you, it's probably the hardest part of coaching kids is that. My son is no exception. When he hits a ball, as hard as he can hit it at 6 years old, his little skinny arms, and he barrels one, and the second baseman sticks his glove out, picks it up, and throws him out at first, and then he's doing the full-on shoulder slumped tears, telling him, dude, they have players too. They're going to make plays. Like, you did your job. What's your job? Hit it hard. Did you hit it hard? Yes, but I didn't get a hit. And I'm like, you're in the wrong game then. I don't know. I want to tell him now, if this is how it's going to be, it's not going to be the game for you.
That's
because
there's no sport for you.
There's no sport for you.
That's why you always hear the professionals talk about process over results.
Always.
And even they struggle sometimes when they're in a slump. Yet you feel like you've been doing everything right.
Yeah.
The instinct is always, I better change something. I haven't been getting any hits. What can I do differently? And sometimes the answer is nothing. Don't change. Just wait for the luck to start falling your way again.
It's just the stupidest thing. Like, Mookie Betts is scuffling. He's struggling. What does he do? Yeah, I went and hit 400 balls, off the tee and in batting practice. It was a simple throwaway comment from David Ortiz, grabbed him, former teammates, and said, hey, what are you doing? You don't need to hit 400 balls. You're Mookie Betts. You make $350 million. Go see the ball, hit the ball, play baseball. And he's like, all right. And he did. And next thing you know, he's off. He didn't have to hit 400 balls anymore after that. It's just one of those things, man. Like, I don't want him to ever not be emotional. I want him to be mad when he doesn't get a hit. I do. I want him to be like, I want him to be mad. I mean, had you hit that ball up the middle, you're on, right? But you can't get upset if a guy makes a play on you and you do your job and you hit the ball hard, And so saying that that's baseball doesn't cover everything, but it truly is. Sometimes it just doesn't go your way. And it's hard for fans. It's hard for fans, me being one of them, to accept that sometimes. It just is. It's hard to say, oh, dude, baseball happened. That's just what happened.
Here's a Mike Shildt question for you. I don't think I'll ask Mike this one, but I will ask you and Paulie. We saw Jace Tingler, talked about it earlier, did well his first short season 2020. When things started going badly, though, in 2021, they went bad fast.
Mm-hmm.
In 2022, we saw Bob Melvin do well first season. When things started going badly in 2023, could never turn it around. All right, Mike Shildt has had his good season. Have we seen him handle when things go badly? Did the first half of this last season count as adversity? Has Mike Shildt guided this team through any adversity yet? Or is that something that is potentially still to come for the San Diego Padres at some point during Mike Shilt's tenure? I'm not 100% sure. I think you can make the argument
you
that
absolutely can.
There was adversity.
Yes.
You know, the 5-game losing streaks and, not being able to get above 500 by more than a game or two in the first half of the season.
Like Manny wants to play, you want to play him, but he's not performing. You have to DH him. He's injured. Fernando gets injured. I'd say there was as much adversity.
But they were never dead and buried like the Mets and had to really fight their way out of a bad situation at all.
Which is, I think that's a credit to him. Now, look, one thing you can be sure of in a baseball season, there will be adversity. Guys will go down. Guys will have to play out of position. Guys will have to go an extra inning or two. You'll make a bad...
And we saw a lot of stars going down this season, and Mike Shildt handling that when Tatis was out, when Bogarts was out, when Darvish and Musgrove were out.
Is your question, it's happened to every other manager in the last few years, expect a downslide?
No, it's not. It's not. My question is, when the inevitable rough month comes up, like really rough month, is Mike Shildt the right guy? Is he equipped to handle that for the San Diego Padres?
And I think, it's because you put in all that brick by brick, like Coach Fisher talked about. The culture is good. The culture needs to stay good, and if the culture gets sour, that's when you have to go in and fix it. But if they can just build off what they had last year, now that obviously doesn't happen all the time either. Where let's just pick right up where we left off, But there will be adversity, and I think he is the right guy because at the end of the day, the players think he's the right guy.
Yeah, and I know that being a baseball manager is actually a pretty tough job. Yeah. But when your team is playing well, it can be kind of easy.
Yeah, you look like a genius.
Sort of can be a job anyone can do. If everybody's hitting and your pitchers are locked in, you don't have to do much to be successful as a manager. I think you really make your money when things are going badly and you're either minimizing that or having to turn something around or make a tough call. And I know we saw some of that from Mike Shildt. I just don't know how much he was pressed on that last season.
Well, he will be. He will be. It's inevitable in a baseball season, and how he handles it, I think he'll be fine.
He seems equipped for it, but I thought Bob Melvin was extremely well equipped.
So did I.
For handling the down moments. Steady Eddie, not going to get overly emotional, and he at least with the Padres team, he did not seem equipped for it at all.
He didn't seem equipped for it with the Giants either. I saw that press conference. I saw that post-game scrum from Bob. It gave me like PTSD. When I'd see him in his office and he'd do the lean back and the lick his lips and, and just flustered and exasperated, So one thing Shildt does, and I think it drives us nuts sometimes, but he will highlight and accentuate the positives. It's like, hey, you just lost 8-1. He's like, yeah. Did you see that slider though? Right? And there's a reason that he does it. I don't necessarily get it. You don't necessarily get it, but I bet his players get it. That's all I care about. I don't care if he's nice to me, if he's nice to anybody. I just want to win ball games. I want to win a World Series. And he got close, so I would like him to take the next step.
We will be joined by Mike Shildt tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
Please don't ask him that question.
No, I'm not. That's a you question, not
don't
a
make
Mike
me ask
Shildt
it either.
question. I don't think he really is equipped to answer that question.
I know.
We'll see. You can't be the person to answer that question. Yeah. We'll also be watching the Aztecs game tonight, or at least Woods will be watching until he falls asleep.
Yeah.
And talk about a little San Diego State UCSD basketball tomorrow morning. Looking forward to the start of college hoops season here in San Diego. Our thanks again to Coach Steve Fisher, who joined us this morning. If you missed it, I do highly encourage you to go back on the Odyssey app or any other way you stream the show on our YouTube stream and check out our interview with Coach Fisher from our 7:30 segment this morning, because he was fantastic. He always is. All right, you guys are already off the stream. I guess it is up to me to wrap up the show.
Yes, sir.
Annie and Elston are coming up next, and we will rejoin you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. for executive producer and imaging director Paul Reindl. For Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Wednesday from all of us here at San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So long, everybody.